folks, and welcome to the final day of the Texas versus Nestor, Osvaldo, Hernandez, whatever, in the maternity ward shooting trial. Did you drop something?
Yes, I did. It's fine though. I'm so excited. I'm dropping everything. My name's excited, so there you go. Hi,
Yep.
everybody.
Hello, everybody. And yes, we are live. And again, I listened in on the afternoon, a bit at least, about half an hour of Mr. Hernandez trying to defend himself. But you saw it all. Please explain to the
I did.
audience.
I did. I saw it. I saw it all. I was just saying hello to Mr. Greedy Bloke who's in my chat over there.
Oh,
Hello. Yes. So I saw it all, and I gotta say, that his counsel must have been absolutely just holding him back with all arms and legs, trying to convince him not to get up on that stand. I know it's his constitutional right. However, wow, what a silly idea that was. He got up there and basically said that he was uh, feeling slighted, I suppose, by how the his girlfriend or former girlfriend may or may not have been playing around, how there'd been some sort of thought in his mind that she had been seeing somebody else. And yeah, he panicked in that moment and decided to shoot, pew pew.
yep.
And that's really what it came down to. And none of his talk really made an awful lot of sense, and it certainly didn't do his case much good. So when it came down to it, though, also we're looking at the difference between first degree and second degree. So whether or not he had complete intent to carry out these unalivings, and I don't see how what he's saying makes it any less. He makes him any less culpable for his actions. Also, the methamphetamine or methamphetamine that's in his system, apparently that's some sort of defense that he is under the influence and therefore not in control of his actions. I don't know if that is true in Texas law.
No, I don't think you can use drugs because
Yeah.
you put yourself in that situation, and that
Yeah.
doesn't really count for. I'm not entirely sure. I know from other trials that committing capital murder while intoxicated or on drugs, they don't really care. The only time they care is if you are drugged or doped up or drunk in a car and then kill somebody. Then it's vehicular homicide,
Yes.
which for some odd reason doesn't count as much as the other kind of, yeah.
Which in itself, I don't really get that either. But okay, that was not the case here. He was wielding a firearm. He was also quite under the influence of a fair bit of alcohol as well. So yeah, and I mean, a lot of more people could have been maimed and unalived, but unfortunately, what we had was 2 hospital workers, and they got in the way because of the heroics.
Yeah.
So it was quite unbelievable testimony. It was very strange, very strange.
Yeah. Yeah, I would assume so.
Mm.
Yeah,
but here we are, and like we've been saying all along, this is a quick and snappy one.
yeah, quick and
The
hence
yeah
Monday,
the
Wednesday, Friday, and
yeah
so today I am expecting closing arguments, maybe some jury instruction. Oh, a visit from the cat.
or a cat's tail.
Yep, show the
We have
best part
something
of
in
the
common
cat.
here. We both have a big curly kitty cat. This one's Sarah, for
Yeah,
people who don't know him. Hello.
yeah.
Hi.
My cat is over there, and maybe he will make an appearance later.
Yeah.
Mm, mm. Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah,
It's been fun all week.
Hmm? Hello, folks
It's been
in
fun all week
the
doing the half and half, and it's a
hmm?
dual stream today.
Yeah, dual stream. So I
Yep.
hope we can everybody tweet out our links to your friends, your neighbors, everybody, so we can get good numbers today, especially for Hella, who needs the hours.
I
So
do. I do.
hopefully
Yeah,
we
it'd
can.
be wonderful if we could
Mm,
have some swap overs of people in chat.
mm,
Maybe even if you're chatting in here, if you please, that would be lovely if you could go and if you're on a browser, go and pop my feed of this into another tab just on quiet. That would be great, just to help me with my watch hours. Um, People have been just so supportive and helpful.
mm,
Um, I am at a point where I have enough subscribers to get to my monetization point, working so hard. And yeah, just I
mm.
need 1,000 watch hours, guys. It's just really tricky.
Mm.
I'm here on the other side of the world, by the way. My name's Hella, and yeah, as you can see, it's nighttime, and for me to actually cover live trials is pretty difficult because they happen during my bedtime. So
Yeah, I have a bit better because on the East Coast they normally start at 3 p.m. my time, which with some luck, I can at least rush back from work and start a stream. Sometimes they begin 4 p.m. my time or even 5 p.m. my time. 5 p.m. my time is great for starting a stream. Not so good being up 9 more hours streaming, because then, oh, hello, I have to get up in 3 hours when the strike. But
yeah.
what we do for our art.
Yeah, what we do. Indeed, yeah. For
Mm,
me, they tend to start around midnight. Yeah, midnight, 2 a.m., something like that. But if I'm
yeah.
lucky, I can run afternoons if someone else can
Mm,
take my mornings.
yeah.
And I get up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. I usually do that most days anyway in order to stream the US audience in the afternoons. So
Mm,
that's fine. I love streaming for the US audience. So
yeah.
um, yeah.
Yeah, I think 80% of my audience is United States.
Yeah.
So, and where my audience is, well, and then USA have televised or streamed trials. So that kind of makes it easier.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and later on we'll have Dali Talk joining us as well. So he's my co-host, and he joins you, Nick, as well a lot.
Yeah.
And he also is actually in a similar situation. He works during the day in Arizona, and he helps me to
Mm,
the same situation. Basically, he's only available from the afternoon, so therefore we're able to really help each other to
mm,
stream to the US audience from about
mm.
sort of 2 to 3 p.m. onwards each
Yeah.
day. So it's good to have
Hello
good to
and
have mates
hello.
around the
Yeah.
world, isn't it?
Hello. Hey, hey,
Hello,
hey,
Kim.
hey.
There
Yeah,
he is.
yeah. there's a few
Greedy
people
bloke.
around. So yeah, but let's not
The
keep
ghost.
people waiting for too long. And I will switch that one to the other side. There. Oh wait, here. No, that's Mo. Oh no, I haven't done well. Okay, I will try to get one of the. I need to get me one of these for next time we dual stream and stuff like that. Because I have one for Dave. I have one with Mo, but I don't have one with you or Sal. I have to get that fixed. But for now, whoops, here we go. And big thank you to Wilhelm Media for fixing the audio. And you'll find the link to his channel in my description below. All right, shall we start? Thumbs up. Sound boost.
Let's go.
All right, thank you, Steve. We're on the record. Let the record reflect that the defendant is present. The status, presence, and the jury of presence and seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much for your patience. I know we took longer than we anticipated, but we were working hard on the court's part.
Wait, what?
And
the trial took longer than anticipated? All right. Didn't know that. But I guess that is because the defendant chose to...
I'm having a little bit of buffering hearing you.
Okay. Let me switch from router to mobile internet. It will be a glitch. 1 second. All right, I'm back. Better?
I can hear you a bit better, yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And I see that my internet is catching up. Okay. Let's start over. So everybody... There.
all right, thank you, Steve.
And you, Twitter, get over here as well, because I'm streaming this on Twitter as well.
We're on the record. Let the record reflect that the defendant is present. The status, presence, and the jury of presence and seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much for your patience. I know we took longer than we anticipated, but we were working hard on the court's part. And also waiting on one of these to go. Okay? So both sides are ready to proceed at this point. You have the evidence. Now I'm going to give you a charge that contains the law that will guide you during your deliberation.
Okay, so they chose to do jury instructions
and I will
before.
read it to you, but you'll be given a copy, taking to the deliberation and taking to the first.
I didn't catch that.
All right, in the state of Texas versus Nestor Hernandez, charge of the court. Members of the jury, the defendant, Nestor Hernandez, stands charged by indictment with the offense of capital murder, alleged to be committed on or about the 22nd day of October 2022 in Dallas County, Texas. To this charge, the defendant has pleaded not guilty. You are instructed that the applicable law to this case is as follows. A person commits the offense of murder when he intentionally or knowingly causes the death of an individual. A person commits the offense of capital murder if he commits murder as defined above, and the person murders more than one person, A, during the same criminal transaction, or B, during different criminal transactions, but the murders are committed pursuant to the same theme or course of conduct. Term definition. Act means a bodily movement, whether voluntary or involuntary, and includes speech. Actor means a person whose criminal responsibility is an issue in a criminal action. Another means a person other than the actor. Bodily injury means physical pain, illness, or any impairment of physical condition. Serious bodily injury means bodily injury that creates a substantial risk of death or that causes death, serious permanent disfigurement, or protracted loss or impairment of the function of any bodily member or organ. Individual means a human being who is alive. Deadly weapon means a firearm or anything manifestly designed, made, or adapted for the purpose of inflicting death or serious bodily injury, or anything that in the manner of its use or intended use is capable of causing death or serious bodily injury. Firearm means any device designed, made, or adapted to expel a projectile through a barrel by using the energy generated by an explosion or burning substance, or any device readily convertible to that use. Mental state definitions. A person acts intentionally or with intent with respect to a result of his conduct when it is his conscious objective or desire to cause the result. A person acts knowingly.
Yeah. Remember, this is the enhanced audio. So imagine how bad it was before Wilhammer got his hands on it. So again, thank you to Wilhammer for at least bringing it up to a level that it's tolerable. Thank you so much, Wilhammer.
Or with knowledge with respect to a result of his conduct when he is aware that his conduct is reasonably certain to cause the result. A person acts recklessly or is reckless with respect to the result of his conduct when he is aware of but consciously disregards a substantial and unjustifiable risk that the result will occur. The risk must be of such a nature and degree that its disregard constitutes a gross deviation from the standard of care that an ordinary person would exercise under all circumstances as viewed from the actor's standpoint. A person acts with criminal negligence or is criminally negligent with respect to the result of his conduct when he ought to be aware of a substantial and unjustifiable risk that the result complained of will occur. The risk must be of such a nature and degree that the failure to perceive it constitutes a gross deviation from the standard of care that an ordinary person would exercise under all the circumstances as viewed from the standpoint of the person charged. Capital murder. Now, bearing in mind the foregoing instructions, if you find from the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant, Nestor Hernandez, on or about the 22nd day of October, AD 2022, in Dallas County, Texas, intentionally or knowingly caused the death of Jacqueline Kakua, an individual, by shooting Jacqueline Kakua with a firearm, a deadly weapon, and during the same criminal transaction, said defendant did then and there intentionally or knowingly cause the death of Katie Flowers, an individual, by shooting Katie Flowers with a firearm.
Okay. That was not supposed to happen. Not why? It's
No.
buffered.
But
It's
my
good
kitty
buffering.
cat is like, I want to go outside now. I'm just going to let him out. But in a minute, he's going to be like, meow, I want to come back inside again.
Or a deadly weapon. Or the defendant, Nestor Hernandez, on or about the 22nd
Oh, come on.
day of October 2022 in Dallas County, Texas, intentionally or knowingly caused the death of Jacqueline Kakua, an individual, by shooting Jacqueline Kakua with a firearm, a deadly weapon, and during a different criminal transaction, but pursuant to the same scheme and cause of conduct.
What the frick is going on? I restarted and
Yeah.
everything.
Defendant did then and there intentionally or knowingly cause the death of Katie Flowers, an individual, by shooting Katie Flowers with a firearm, a deadly weapon. Then you will find the defendant guilty of capital murder as charged in the indictment. But if you do not so believe, or if you have a reasonable doubt thereof, you will acquit the defendant of the offense of capital murder as alleged in the indictment, say by your verdict, not guilty, and proceed to consider whether the defendant is guilty of the lesser included offense of murder of Jacqueline Kakua as included in the indictment and outlined below. Lesser included offense of murder, Jacqueline Kakua. Now, bearing in mind the program.
Seriously, what the frick is going on here? I'm looking at my activity and it's nowhere near.
Instructions. If you find from the evidence beyond
Yeah, this happened to us
that
the other day.
Nestor Hernandez, on or about the 22nd day of October 2022, in the County of Dallas, State of Texas, intentionally or knowingly caused the death of an individual, Jacqueline Kakua, the deceased, by shooting the deceased with a firearm, a deadly weapon, then you will find the defendant, Nestor Hernandez, guilty of murder of Jacqueline Kakua, as included in the indictment.
Hey, Sonny.
Sonny.
Yeah, I might have to try a different browser.
Oh. But if you do not so believe, or if you...
What works for you, Sal? I was running
using
Brave.
Chrome. I'm using Chrome at the moment, but I will go over to Edge.
Because we actually went back and forth a bit. Sal was running it for a bit and I was running it for a bit. Mine was working okay in Brave. Not sure which Sal was using.
I will jump off for a bit.
Sure.
I will entertain the people.
Okay. No problem. Oh, well, I'm all the way over here. That's okay. There's a nice photo in the background. So I have some people in chat. I can't bring your chats up on screen because I don't have administrator powers, but I can talk to you all. So let's see. Hi, Sunny. How are you?
I am back.
That was fast.
Edge. Dun dun dun.
I was going to say hi, Nikki.
Add to stage. Full screen. Boost sound.
Intentionally or knowingly caused the death of an individual, Jacqueline Kakua, by shooting the deceased with a firearm, a deadly weapon, then you will find the defendant, Nestor Hernandez, guilty of murder of Jacqueline Kakua, as included in the indictment. But if you do not so believe, or if you have a reasonable doubt thereof, you will acquit the defendant of the offense of murder of Jacqueline Kakua, as included in the indictment, and stay by your verdict not guilty, and proceed to consider whether the defendant is guilty of the lesser included offense of murder of Katie Flowers, as included in the indictment and outlined below. Lesser included offense of murder, Katie Flowers. Now, bearing in mind the foregoing instructions, if you find from the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant, Nestor Hernandez, on or about the 22nd day of October 2022 in the county of Dallas, state of Texas, intentionally or knowingly caused the death of an individual, Katie Flowers, the deceased, by shooting the deceased with a firearm, a deadly weapon, then you will find the defendant, Nestor Hernandez, guilty of murder of Katie Flowers as included in the indictment. But if you do not so believe, or if you have a reasonable doubt thereof, you will acquit the defendant of the offense of the murder of Katie Flowers as included in the indictment, say by your verdict not guilty, and proceed to consider whether the defendant is guilty of the lesser included offense of manslaughter of Jacqueline Pakua as included in the indictment and outlined below.
Yeah.
Lesser included offense of manslaughter. Jacqueline Pakua.
Yeah, that is what the defense is going for. It's manslaughter or murder too, just not capital murder, because capital murder is obligatory life without parole, while the others can give him parole. And I wouldn't count on it.
Yeah, and as some members of chat, whilst he was testifying, were saying, this man's dangerous. Like the way he speaks, the way he talks so flippantly about shooting, about just his regard for his baby mama, and just violence in general. He's dangerous. He's very scary.
Yeah, and the way he acted on the stand, I mean, there were some people, it doesn't matter if you have dressed them in a suit, it doesn't matter. I mean, No,
and it had nothing to do with his facial appearance and tattoos or anything like that. It was the way he spoke about these acts. He was so flippant. It was quite chilling, actually.
Yeah, I agree.
You are instructed that a person commits the offense of manslaughter if he recklessly causes the death of an individual. Now, bearing in mind the foregoing instructions, if you find from the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant, Nestor Hernandez, on or about the 22nd day of October 2022, did recklessly cause the death of an individual, namely Jacqueline Pakua, the deceased, by shooting the deceased with a firearm, a deadly weapon, then you will find the defendant guilty of manslaughter as included in the indictment. But if you do not so believe, or if you have a reasonable doubt thereof, you will acquit the defendant of the offense of the manslaughter of Jacqueline Pakua as included in the indictment, and say by your verdict not guilty, and proceed to consider whether the defendant is guilty of the lesser included offense of manslaughter of Katie Flowers as included in the indictment and outlined below. Lesser included offense of manslaughter, Katie Flowers. Now, bearing in mind the foregoing instructions, if you find from the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant, Nestor Hernandez, on or about the 22nd day of October 2022, did recklessly cause the death of an individual, namely Katie Flowers, the deceased, by shooting the deceased with a firearm, a deadly weapon, then you will find the defendant guilty of manslaughter as included in the indictment. But if you do not so believe, or if you have a reasonable doubt thereof, you will acquit the defendant of the offense of manslaughter of Katie Flowers as included in the indictment, say by your verdict not guilty, and proceed to consider whether the defendant is guilty of the lesser included offense of criminally negligent homicide of Jacqueline Pakua as included in the indictment and is outlined below. Lesser included offense of criminally negligent homicide. Jacqueline Pakua. You are instructed that a person commits an offense of criminally negligent homicide if he causes the death of an individual by criminal negligence, as that term has been defined. Now, bearing in mind the foregoing instructions, if you find from the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant, Nestor Hernandez, on or about the 22nd day of October 2022, did cause the death of an individual, namely Jacqueline Pakua, the deceased, by criminal negligence, then you will find the defendant guilty of criminally negligent homicide as included in the indictment. If you do not so believe, or if you have a reasonable doubt thereof, you will acquit the defendant of the offense of the criminally negligent homicide of Daphne Purport, as included in the indictment, say by your verdict not guilty, and proceed to consider whether the defendant is guilty of the lesser included offense of criminally negligent homicide of 80 Flowers, as included in the indictment, and I outlined below. Lesser included offense of criminally negligent homicide, 80 Flowers. Now, bearing in mind the foregoing instructions, if you find from the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant, Nestor Hernandez, on or about the 22nd day of October 2022, did cause the death of an individual, namely 80 Flowers, the deceased, by criminal negligence, then you will find the defendant guilty of criminally negligent homicide as included in the indictment. If you believe from the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty of either capital murder or the murder of Jacqueline Purport or the murder of 80 Flowers, which you have a reasonable doubt as to which of said offenses he is guilty, then you must resolve that doubt in the defendant's favor and find him guilty of the lesser included offense of murder of either Jacqueline Purport or 80 Flowers. If you believe from the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty of either the murder of Jacqueline Purport or the murder of 80 Flowers, or manslaughter of Jacqueline Purport or manslaughter of 80 Flowers, which you have a reasonable doubt as to which of said offenses he is guilty, then you must resolve that doubt in
reasonable
the
doubt
defendant's
is kind of
favor and find him guilty
gone.
of the lesser offense of manslaughter of either Jacqueline Purport or 80 Flowers. If you believe from the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty of either manslaughter of Jacqueline Purport or manslaughter of 80 Flowers, or criminally negligent homicide of Jacqueline Purport or criminally negligent homicide of 80 Flowers, which you have a reasonable doubt as to which of said offenses he is guilty, then you must resolve that doubt in the defendant's favor and find him guilty of the lesser offense of criminally negligent homicide of either Jacqueline Purport or 80 Flowers. If you believe from the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty of either capital murder, murder of Jacqueline Purport or murder of 80 Flowers, manslaughter of Jacqueline Purport or manslaughter of 80 Flowers, or criminally negligent homicide of Jacqueline Purport or criminally negligent homicide of 80 Flowers, but you have a reasonable doubt as to which of said offenses he is guilty, then you must resolve that doubt in the defendant's favor and find him guilty of the lesser offense of criminally negligent homicide of either Jacqueline Purport or 80 Flowers. If you have a reasonable doubt as to whether the defendant is guilty of any offense in this charge, then you will acquit the defendant and say by your verdict, not guilty. Indictment. An indictment is the means whereby a defendant is brought to trial in a felony prosecution. It is not evidence of guilt, nor can it be considered by you in passing upon the question of guilt of the defendant. The fact that a person has been arrested, confined, indicted for, or otherwise charged with an offense does not give rise to any inference of guilt in the trial. Presumption of innocence. All persons are presumed to be innocent, and no person may be convicted of an offense unless each element of the offense is proved beyond a reasonable doubt. The law does not require a defendant to prove his innocence or produce any evidence at all. The presumption of innocence alone is sufficient to acquit the defendant, unless the jurors are satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt of the defendant's guilt after careful and impartial consideration of all the evidence in the case. Burden of proof. The prosecution has the burden of proving the defendant guilty, and it must do so by proving each and every element of the offense charged beyond a reasonable doubt. And if it fails to do so, you must acquit the defendant. The burden of proof in all criminal cases rests upon the state throughout the trial and never shifts to the defendant. It is not required that the prosecution prove guilt beyond all possible doubt, It is required that the prosecution's proof excludes all reasonable doubts concerning the defendant's guilt. In the event you have a reasonable doubt as to the defendant's guilt, after considering all the evidence before you and these instructions, you will acquit him and say by your verdict, not guilty. Evidentiary instructions. You are instructed that if there is any evidence before you in this case regarding the defendant having committed any offense other than the offense alleged against him in the indictment in this case, you cannot consider said evidence for any purpose unless you find and believe beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant committed such other offense, if any. Even then, you may only consider the same in determining the state of mind of the defendant, motive, opportunity, intent, preparation, plan, knowledge, identity, or absence of mistake or accident of the defendant, if any, in connection with the offense alleged against him in this indictment. You are instructed that certain evidence is admitted in evidence before you in regard to the defendant having been charged and convicted of offenses other than the one for which he is now
Oh, for frick's sake.
on trial. Such evidence cannot be considered by you against the defendant as any evidence of guilt in this case. Said evidence was admitted before you for the purpose of aiding you, if it does, in passing upon the weight.
You have to be freaking kidding me. I checked my internet before I'm having great internet. Microsoft Defender antivirus service decided to start running now. And these are one of these. Nope. Can't turn it off. Mother frickers. Why now? Why now?
Look, it could be worse. It could be like at verdict stage.
You will give his testimony, and you will not consider the same for any other purpose.
I mean, we sat with this freaking trial for hours and hours. We are 38 minutes in. I just changed the...
Now you know what it's like to live in Australia.
But here's the thing. I have great internet connection. So this is something between StreamYard, Edge, Chrome, whatever's.
Have you done a packet loss test?
Who?
Okay, well, I think I have amazing internet. It looks like I have amazing internet. The speed is fantastic, but there's these things called packets of data, and they get lost along the way. So what you do is you go to devicetests.com, and there's this thing called a packet loss test. And if you are losing packets of data along the way, this kind of stuff happens. So, yeah.
Okay. Bum, bum, bum. Device test, computer test, internet speed test.
So you go down the list, and there's one that says packet loss.
Okay.
It's very interesting.
Test the reliability of your internet connection. Start packet loss test. Okay.
That's the one. Yep. I'll do one at the same time.
Sent
packets. I have received 248 out of 250.
You got some lost packets.
2.
So yeah. So does it say? Do you have any late packets?
3.6%.
Yeah. Okay. So any lost or late packets is not great. That's not terrible. Like I had. Before I fixed a few things around here, I had 70, sometimes 70 lost 20% lost. Yeah, even though my internet was great. So, and I was paying for like the highest speed. So it can mean that some of your cables can need replacing, or some of the little adapters can need replacing. Sometimes a little, like where the adapters go into the computer can be a bit loose. Things like that.
I have everything on Wi-Fi. I
Oh,
don't have any cables.
really? Well,
I don't have cable internet out here. I'm getting cable internet or fiber once they start digging, but
yeah, well, that
let's
will
see
help.
here. I am currently at download speed 22 megabits and upload speed 31 megabits.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with my well, there's something wrong, but Jesus Christ. So this is YouTube, StreamYard, cluster freak.
At times throughout the trial, the court has been called upon to pass on the question of whether or not certain evidence might properly be admitted. You are not to be concerned with the reasons for such ruling, and are not to draw any inferences from them. Whether offered evidence is admissible is purely a question of law.
I currently
In
have
admitting evidence to which an objection
two
is
tabs
made,
open:
the court either
StreamYard
determines what weight
and the
should be
stream.
given such
That's
evidence,
all
nor
I have.
passes on the credibility of the evidence. As to any offer of evidence that has been rejected by the court, you, of course, must not consider same. As to any question to which an objection was sustained, you must not conjecture as to what the answer might have been or as to the reason for the objection. You are the exclusive judges of the facts proved, the credibility of the witnesses, and the weight to be given to testimony. However, you must receive and follow the law.
Tomorrow, I have a 32 gig RAM memory, and I don't what else I have. But tomorrow I'm getting another one of these 32 gig RAMs just in case it's something about the processing. I'm not a tech guy. I have no freaking idea what I'm doing here.
Yeah, I was just saying, this way up was helping me. One of the chatters, he was helping me because he does gaming, and I swear I would have just completely bought a whole new Mac, and I really don't need a new Mac. But
well, I have one of these. I mean,
yeah,
and it's a GeForce RTX 3060 something. It cost a lot, and it was supposed to handle everything I could put it through, but RAM can go bad too. I bought this 2 months ago. RAM can't go bad in 2 months.
No, it can't. But also, like if you look at with the packet data, this is actually a really great website. It tells you how to fix it. So it goes through step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of how to fix loss of packet data. And checking your cables and things is one thing, but also updating all of your drivers. So I went through and updated my iOS and updated like all the
maybe getting a
stuff.
really good Wi-Fi connector thingy on my computer instead of this stick.
Yeah, in fact, one thing that really helped was just I've got a little connector here because I am plugged into the wires. I just updated it from a $20 one to a $60 one, and that helped tons.
Yeah, I'm betting on that YouTube have a crap ton of pure garbage in the background just eating up because they are horrible people. Now,
horrible people.
I mean, why can't Elon Musk buy YouTube and remove 50% of the unnecessary people who work there and put in people who actually, Hi, Indigo Luna. Yeah.
Hey, Luna.
Yeah, but let's get through this.
Provided to you by the court.
And
You are instructed that you may consider all relevant facts and circumstances surrounding the death, if any, and the previous relationship existing between the accused and the deceased, together with all relevant facts and circumstances going to show the condition of the mind of the accused at the time of the offense, if any. Deliberation instructions. After you retire to the jury room, you should select one of your members as your presiding juror. It is his or her duty to preside at your deliberations, vote with you, and when you have unanimously agreed upon a verdict, to certify to your verdict by using the appropriate form attached hereto and signing the same as presiding juror. Your verdict must be unanimous and shall be arrived at by due deliberations and not by majority vote or any method or chance. It is only from the witness stand that the jury is permitted to receive evidence regarding the case, and no juror is permitted to communicate to any other juror anything he or she may have heard regarding the case from any source other than the witness stand. You are instructed that any statements of counsel made during the course of the trial or during argument not supported by the evidence, or statements of law made by counsel not in harmony with the laws as stated to you by the court in these instructions are to be wholly disregarded. During your deliberations in this case, you must not consider, discuss, nor relate any matters not in evidence before you. You should not consider nor mention any personal knowledge or information you may have about any fact or person connected with this case which is not shown by the evidence. During your deliberations, you are also instructed you must not communicate with or provide any information to anyone by any means about this case. You may not use any electronic device or media, such as telephone, cell phone, smartphone, iPhone, or computer, the internet, any internet service, or any text or instant messaging service, or any internet chat room, blog, or website, such as Facebook, Snapchat, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, or Twitter, to communicate to anyone any information about this case, or conduct any research about this case until I accept your verdict, if any. After you have retired to consider your verdict, no one has any authority to communicate with you except the bailiff who has you in charge. You may communicate with this court in writing, signed by your presiding juror, through the bailiff who has you in his charge. There's a whole thought. Do not attempt to talk to the bailiff, the attorneys, or the court concerning any questions you may have. Your sole duty at this time is to determine the guilt or innocence of the defendant under the indictment in this cause, and restrict your deliberations solely to the issue of guilt or innocence of the defendant. If you have a verdict, or if you wish to have a break, turn on the red light, and the bailiff will quickly respond. And this is signed by me, Judge Chica Anu, criminal district court member staff. And on the back of the instructions, you have the verdict form, and I'm going to read them out to you. All right, the first one, the state of Texas versus Nestor Hernandez. We, the jury, unanimously find the defendant guilty of the offense of capital murder as charged in the indictment. Presiding juror's signature, presiding juror's printed name.
I would assume that's the one they will sign.
Jury unanimously find the defendant
Like, that was fast. Oh no.
lesser included offense of murder of Jacqueline Pekua, as included in the indictment. Signed by the presiding juror, printed name of the presiding juror. Or, we, the jury, unanimously find the defendant guilty of the lesser included offense.
First of all, is because Wilhelm Media has removed lunches and breaks and probably verdict watch. So even it doesn't really matter if they took a half an hour or an hour or 2 hours, that Wilhelm Media has. So we will hear it quite fast.
Of murder of Katie Flowers, as included in the indictment. Signed by the presiding juror, printed name of the presiding juror. Or, we, the jury, unanimously find the defendant guilty of the lesser included offense of manslaughter of Jacqueline Pekua, as included in the indictment. Signed by the presiding juror, printed name of the presiding juror. Or, we, the jury, unanimously find the defendant guilty of the lesser included offense of manslaughter of Katie Flowers, as included in the indictment. Signed by the presiding juror, printed name of the presiding juror. Or we, the jury, unanimously find the defendant guilty of the lesser included offense of criminally negligent homicide of Jacqueline Pakua, as included in the indictment, signed by the presiding juror, printed name of the presiding juror. Or we, the jury, unanimously find the defendant guilty of the lesser included offense of criminally negligent homicide of Katie Flowers, as included in the indictment, signed by the presiding juror, printed name of the presiding juror. Or we, the jury, unanimously find the defendant not guilty, signed by the presiding juror, printed name of the presiding juror. And as I said, I'll give you this charge so you can refer to it. Note that there's a lot in there, but it will guide you. If you need to refer to it, please do so. Well, you do. Having read the charge, is the state of Texas ready to proceed with the closing argument?
I am, but I need to ask if we can approach you for literally 5 seconds.
Okay, don't know why, because they had everything in these jury instructions they have gone through before. So why he needs to talk to them now all of a sudden, I have no idea. Unless he's trying to get a plea deal. Please, please give him. No, we don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently looking up RAM.
Morning. We started Monday. We started talking about some very important things. I'm gonna run through them and then we get to the facts of this case and why we're here and what this case is. Right?
Closing
We
arguments
came here, we
on.
thank you for coming. We thank you for responding to the summons. Many, many summonses go out and very few show up. But we also gave you an oath and we went over that and made certain that you understood that your oath in talking to us was very special because we're Americans and this is how our system is built. And then I told you that the judge would have you stand up when we started this phase of the case and give you another oath that you will the true verdict render according to the law and the evidence, so help you God. And we have here, the law is written and the evidence, obviously, that you have to consider came from this witness stand or off of that screen or in documents or whatever. That's the evidence that you are to use and nothing else. Okay? We talked about capital murder. And we talked about the law surrounding that in 2 different ways, at least that we posted up of this particular case, that capital murder can be committed. Okay? The defense talked about murder as a lesser included offense, but we focused on what was in the indictment. Okay? The judge has given you some instructions. And I want to talk about some of these because, first of all, as we said, this is the law. And on page 4, after your consideration of whether or not we prove capital murder beyond a reasonable doubt, or the evidence proved it beyond a reasonable doubt, it says, but if you do not so believe, or if you have a reasonable doubt thereof, you will acquit the defendant of capital murder as alleged in the indictment, say by your verdict not guilty, and proceed to consider whether the defendant is guilty of a lesser included offense. And it goes on each page. Okay? My suggestion is you'll never get past that based on the evidence. I want to go back and read another section of the evidence that the judge put in the charge, and I want to remind you of your responsibility. I want to remind you that one of the things that I told you that was so unique and special about us and what we do in criminal trials in the United States of America is that we put you in charge of what the outcome is. And the judge has told you that again. I went over it on Monday. I don't want to remind you because you do have conflicting testimony in this case, no question about it. Okay, but what does it say on page 13? You're the exclusive judges, so the facts prove the credibility of the witnesses and the weight to be given to the testimony. And I think you remember, out of all of what might be in here, that I spent some time on that on Monday for a reason. Because one thing we can't control is whether someone wants to testify and what they will say. And I want to talk to you now about why this is just one offense and one offense only, and that's capital murder. I want to remind you all about our setting. And I don't mean here in this Starow courtroom. I mean over at the Shingle Tower at Methodist Hospital, on the floor, where moms and babies reside for a short period of time. Moms who deliver naturally, or C-sections, or whatever, but especially C-sections. You ain't walking out of there the next day right away. There are people who go there and attend to that. But somewhere you've heard from the evidence in this case, and it's probably true in every room there, that a mom and a baby together. There's a point after the birth of a child where we all, as parents, we take a moment. And certainly a reasonable inference and deduction from the evidence, the moments from which you've heard how she treated that baby. That there's a moment where you look into your newborn's eyes, especially the first one, and you see love like you'll never see it before. You see wonderment like you'll never experience. And your wish is for everything to come out with it. Unfortunately, part of that involves who the dad is. And that's what we're here, regardless. You have a staff who works there, social workers who come in and tend to the needs of the mother and the baby, that moment and what for the reason for their future. You have nurses who come in and make sure, especially that C-section mom, is not suffering from infections or this or that or the other, not having complications, so they can do what? Move them on home with the baby, and so they can continue to live their lives. And that's what was going on. We had people attending to the business of a new life. We had a mom who was there about her newborn, and all the staff was there to make certain that the new little lives come in and are protected. The only problem, and the problem that brings us here today, is there was another life walking around that made its way into the Shingle Tower Methodist Hospital, to the floor, confused. You know now on that. Goes into the wrong room and get that figured out. You heard David Lopez's description of that. Finally winds up, what's walking around? That love for that baby? No. Rage, resentment, anger, and a plan to kill based on the believable and credible evidence in this case and what you've heard and seen, was walking around, masquerading, going into that building as a caring, loving father, coming in to see his child and tend to the mother. But you know that's not true by his own admission. He was full of anger and rage, and certainly the evidence shows that. What do you know? First of all, Selena, she knew exactly what was up. She covered her head up with, whether it's alcohol or meth or whatever, intoxicated, out of control. Mix that into that stimulant that the doctor told you, and the doctor told you the kinds of things that can happen generally to personalities, and you listen to her description of him, you listen to that audio and see that video, you hear what he said, when he screamed back out of there, and his constant screaming. His body has been taken out of that room across a woman's dead body, and he shot her in the head. And the only thing coming out of his mouth is what? She cheated on me. It's the only concern. Why? Because he's executing his plan to come there and kill. Press the button, get somebody in, I'm gonna kill somebody. I don't know if you caught this, but there was one person that went in there first before Miss Jackie went in there. And you gotta think, that person that went in and walked out with him
Ghost
in that room
says yes.
with a pistol.
On
That's
the
the
ram
luckiest
sticks.
person in Dallas County on that day. She got to walk back out. The next person who walked in to care for the mother and the child and their ongoing needs wasn't so lucky. She gets popped in the back of the head. So now all of our energy is up. We're going to execute the plan. Press the button. Get them in here. I'm going to kill me and you and them. Well, liars lie. He wanted to kill himself, he could have done that. When really what the plan was to create chaos and kill. Why? Because of anger. Why? Well, what we're told and what we know is this idea of cheating on him, whether she did or not, is irrelevant. That's what he believed. And that overcame everything, that anger, resentment, and rage towards her propelled him to kill other people. A misguided. None of it should be guided towards anybody, but certainly not to those who help us. And
Yeah,
then what do we know?
our Black Friday deals should
We know
start
that
next week.
His Flowers, unfortunately, walking down the hall, you see that body turn. You hear one shot, you hear a second shot. Where's that second shot hit? Right in the neck. A fatal, deadly spot. A fatal, deadly shot that she was never, ever going to survive. In fact, you saw in the video that they were trying to give her CPR right there, right down at the nurse's station. That's how fatal that was. What else do we know? Well, we know that somebody who had left, interestingly, the only conversation about this, had left a gun, allegedly, which is a bunch of nonsense, I suggest to you from the evidence. A gun in somebody's bag. There was more to it than that. Because there's the ability, willingness, and the act of taking that clip out and putting some more projectiles in. Okay? Is that true? Yes. Why? What did he have with him? All these extra projectiles. Why? Well, if you go in there to kill, you can't run out. The only problem is the whole escapade is wrong. Fortunately, there's a police officer right there who shot him. Okay. What else did we bring? We brought you evidence from Selena about being pistol whipped. We showed you the pictures. Then we did more than that. We did more than show you the pictures. We brought DNA evidence of the hair on the gun. We brought DNA evidence to prove this. We brought Emmys who told you how these people died, the angles, and all of it is consistent.
I'm child-free, so I never had the
Selena said,
opportunity.
what Officer Rangel
But I
said,
doubt I would do that.
what the scientific evidence shows, and it all brings it together. And in this case, this is capital murder, and it's capital murder because, as the judge tells you, a person commits the offense of capital murder. If you commit murder, as defined above, and the person murders more than one person, A, during the same criminal transaction. You got to hear and see from Officer Rangel's body-worn camera the sounds, the time, the gunshots. You didn't get to see Jackie get shot, but you certainly saw Miss Flowers.
I would agree with Atheist Ant.
In the wrong place.
Now, the year hasn't ended yet, but
If only she had been one
of
two,
all the guilty
three
guilties,
rooms away.
this
Maybe
probably
on
is the
another
most
floor,
guilty
maybe
guilty.
on a break. The same thing for Jackie. Somebody would probably be dead, but maybe we would be finding about these two. Because, like I said, I think it's painfully obvious and clear beyond a reasonable doubt that he was on a mission to kill. And he accomplished his mission. He got shot in the course of it, something he probably wasn't expecting to go and find a police officer just taking a police report on death right down the hallway. And we have him here, and we brought you this case. And we're asking you to do what you told us you'd do. First of all, when we asked you to take that oath the judge did, you told us you were serious about it, you meant it, you were going to give us true answers, and we went over all kinds of things. Okay? We're counting. You stood up, you took an oath, and you said you were going to render a true verdict according to the law and the evidence to help you out. We trusted you, and we're counting on you. And what we're telling you is our position on this case, the position that's proved beyond a reasonable doubt, is that this man, as I said, was walking resentment, rage, anger, with a plan to kill. And he took all of that
Okay. Currently, we are at. My poll says, "What do you think the verdict will be?" Bottom answer: 3%. Nah. Hungary 6%. Murder 2 17%, and capital murder 74%. Yeah. I would assume that is. I would assume that is correct. And I saw something. Deliberation. We don't know because because Wilhelm Media has graciously cut out the waiting period. But I don't think we would have been forced to wait more than maybe 25 minutes, the time it takes to write out the. Hey, Solomon.
Solomon's here. Hey, Sol. How's it
Hey, Sol.
going?
Yeah.
I know this was a really quick trial. I know the whole thing happened in like 3 days. So
Yeah.
including the verdict. So,
Yeah, and still the judge said this took longer than expected.
yeah.
I mean, yeah. And I mean, if they found this trial is the polar opposite of the Zachariah Anderson trial, I would be equally shocked if they decided to acquit this guy as I was when they convicted Zachariah Anderson. That's the level of horrifically bad the Zachariah Anderson trial was when they managed to convict him.
Yep.
Oh, sick, busy with exams, and I had to roof a quarter of my dad's house. Okay, you've been busy, but thank you for being here and being over at Hella's stream.
Yes.
Because, yeah, she needs the hours. Now, we both need numbers, so please go over to Twitter and retweet both of our streams and everything so we can get more people here so Hella can get to her hours.
Mine was about 1,000 hours. I need about 1,000 hours. But thank you everyone for being here. And Nick, you're just awesome to have us. Oh, you are. You're so awesome. Yeah, you love it, don't you?
Myself
Look at
on the shoulder over here.
You're just like, oh, I just love all this praise from this lady. Yeah, no, it's nice to be here. And I love meeting all the people. Like, there's so many people that I haven't met in your chat. It's really nice to expand out into a different group and meet lots of new people. But yes, it would be fabulous if everyone could just sort of mingle amongst the two chats and meet new people as well. That's cool.
Yeah, Hella's stream is pinned on the top of my chat, so you can easily go over there or have both of our streams in separate windows and listen to one of us, but write in both of us, because YouTube really, really likes active chats and viewers and thumbs up or even thumbs down, as long as it is activity going on. That makes YouTube, oh, people over there. Let's show it to more people.
That's so funny, that, hey?
No, Mr. Jingles is currently asleep, and he made a brief showing when I was over at Jeff's stream, but now he's asleep. Maybe before the end of the stream I can throw something on him so he can come and show himself.
Throw something on him. Spray with water. That moves cats.
He will just run out through the door or something. But if I can make him pissed off at me, then he definitely will show up, probably around here, and I will go scratchy, or something like that.
Also, Solomon, you should have seen the DNA lady. She used big numbers.
Yeah, she used numbers.
Big ones.
Yeah, but I know that, I don't know. Speculatively, the Anderson family has contact with good people on that subject. And hopefully everybody will fund it for you.
I will go and get all my linky links out. Hang
Yeah.
on, let me do that.
Yeah,
Like a
professional.
professional
Yeah,
one.
yeah. I mean, you actually used the standard that has been in place for the past 20 years. Isn't it amazing? Shocking, right? And
Hang
and
on, I got to
for
fall off my seat.
and for Solomon and the others, I will have a new fundraising stream when I celebrate my 1 year as a content creator on December 29th.
Ooh.
Yeah, so don't go anywhere on that date, please. Yeah, but
Promise.
we are here for Nestor Osvaldo Hernandez, who we are currently listening to the state's closing argument, and he is doing good.
Into that place where new life, new birth, new hopes, new plans are the only things that's supposed to reside in that tower. And what he took in there was death 2 times. And you've heard all the evidence, cross-examination, replayed the tape. You
Hey,
heard what he said.
Nikki went over to your stream.
Nikki.
Not often.
Hey, give her hours.
You get to come down here in Jersey
Nikki, you're
hear
lovely.
and see death distributed out in a random fashion like what he did. But unfortunately, there are those who will do it. And when you were sitting from here to there, whether you realize it or not or thought about it, you were sitting just that close to a murderer, a capital murderer, who shouldn't be played with, shouldn't be second guessed, and look at the facts and reach a reasonable conclusion. And based on these instructions, as I said, you read it, you should never go past capital murder. Because that's what the believable and credible evidence shows in this case. He's guilty of capital murder, and we're asking you to follow those instructions in your oath and find him guilty. Thank you.
I'm actually very surprised they didn't go for the DP, because this is such a clear-cut case. I don't know why.
There's a reason. Actually, Sal was saying the other day.
It's kind of like
Sal, can you put that in chat?
better for him than me now.
Okay. I don't know the reason because I haven't checked the pre-trial motions. Maybe some mistakes were made or something like that. I have no idea.
Mm.
I do know another trial a few months ago where they put the DP out from the trial because of the prosecution didn't hand over some of the discovery in time. So maybe it's one of these cases. I don't know, but let's continue to.
Yeah.
I thought I'd be saying good afternoon because you know how long it took when we went through Boyd Iron. So, first thing I want to do is I want to thank you all. On behalf of Mr. Hernandez, Mr. Johnson, myself, thank you for taking the time out of your schedules. We know that it's difficult to come down here, leave your lives, and listen to cases like this. And we appreciate it, and we appreciate you doing the duties down here.
This will be interesting.
Mr. Crusoe, we are going to rely on you, rely on the oath that you took to follow the law and the evidence and let it lead to the correct verdict. Obviously, we have a very strong disagreement with them on what the final outcome should be. But as Mr. Johnson said in his opening statement, we are not saying he's not guilty. That's not what you're here about. It's about determining to what level he is guilty. That's why during voir dire, I brought up with you the lesser included offenses, so that you would understand how the process worked and what you would be looking at. And we talked about, if you remember when the judge first case came in, and when I talked to you, I asked you, who came in here and thought, I wonder what he did? Now, when I asked it, nobody raised their hand because she had already asked it and gone over it. That presumption of innocence that we were talking about goes throughout your deliberations as well. And you might be wondering, well, what does he mean by that? Well, if you go back and look at page, it talks about when you're applying the laws of things, it talks about your application in the presumption of innocence. And when you go down and if you has a reasonable doubt as to which offense, whether it's capital murder or murder, The presumption of innocence applies so that what you will resolve that doubt with is a finding of the lesser included offense. And I want you to know that because sometimes you think, well, presumption of innocence, that's gone. We've already passed that. We've presumed him innocent, and so now we can just, no, that presumption goes through the rest of the case. When you're looking at the lesser included offenses, observe that and use that to determine a lesser included offense as well, such that that doubt would be resolved in the defendant's favor. And that's very important to remember here because you're looking at a number of different possible verdicts on your. So please keep that into consideration. The other thing we talked about was the burden of proof. We talked about the fact the state does the accusing, they have to do the proving, which means a couple of things now. First off, it means what you've seen throughout. They get to start the case and they get to finish the case, okay? Which means we'll.
Okay. Only meets one of the multiple criteria for DP, multiple people, and they weren't tortured or anything especially heinous. Okay. I guess that is.
Okay.
But the amount of fear for everybody else in that maternity ward, I mean, there are, I mean, dozens, at least, what was it, 20, currently in that ward was about 20 women with their newborns who could not escape even if they wanted to. Locked into their rooms, hoping by the grace of everything that somebody with a gun showed up to stop this guy. Because if that cop didn't arrive when he did, who knows? He might as well, yeah. But as Sal says, they stopped him at 2 victims, and that might not have been enough.
Rules are rules.
Rules are rules. Let's continue.
We'll get up here and we'll argue, and after we sit down, they still get to stand up and respond to that. Note, we would love to get up and respond to whatever they say. Keep in mind that for every argument they have, there's another argument to be made for the other side. What we're asking you to do is, as you took your oath to consider all the law and the evidence, is to give both sides a fair shot. Listen to the evidence, look at the evidence, apply it, and then come out with a proper verdict. That's the oath that you took, and that's the oath that we're holding you to. But realize we would love to get up and respond. So we're going to have to rely on you all back there to think about what would the report be? What would the defense come back and say to this? Doing that would give everyone a fair verdict in this. We also talked about communicate. Actually, we didn't talk about this. I want to talk about it briefly. Communication, the hardest thing for a juror to understand is how to communicate with the court. It might seem simple. It might seem that you just send a note and that's it. Well, no, that's not quite it when you want to have testimony read back to you. There has to be a conflict with that person's testimony. You have to identify that conflict and that person and send a note out to the court with that information. That's the only way that the court reporter can then go and read back that information, and it'll be presented to you in a number of forms. It could be read back to you, or it could be printed out and given to you. But unless you point out the conflict that you have, you will not get the response that you need. I want to point that out because most times that's an issue. You all want to hear what you want to hear. You need to know how to get that information, the proper way to get that information. And if you don't ask it properly, you'll get a note back that says you have all the law and evidence. Well, then you'll know, well, we didn't ask it properly. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right. Last thing I want to talk to you about is what I discussed during voir dire was respecting everyone's decision. I talked to you about the fact that I picked out 3 jurors, and I said, 2 of you think he's guilty, 1 of you think he's not guilty. What would you do? If you beat up on him, we talked about 12 angry men. We actually had one of the jurors, if you remember, that actually played a part in that, as a female played a part in that. I want to point that out because that's where you are now. You all are each entitled to, or required to deliberate, but you're each entitled to your own personal moral decision. If you've deliberated and you come to your own personal moral decision, you have an absolute right to stand by that decision. and you have a right to be respected by all 11 other members of the jury. You took an oath, and we discussed it for this very part right here. Each one of you is the exclusive triers of the fact. Okay? Each one of you, this is a group that has to come to a unanimous decision, but each one of you is the exclusive judge of the triers of fact. You make that determination. You do not have to be bullied. You don't have to accept it. And all of you promised me you would not let that happen. And you would stand by even those people who might have a contrary opinion. And we're going to hold you to that. Now, I wanted to come up here and talk to you about these brief aspects of the law. Mr. Johnson's going to come up and talk to you about how the law applies to the facts and give his summation of the evidence that you saw. I appreciate your attention. I appreciate you giving Mr. Johnson the same attention you've given me.
Great.
That makes me so happy. Yay.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I too would like to thank you for the time and that you give this case this week, and the fact that you've taken time from your lives to sit here and have to listen to some pretty brutal things here in the courtroom. A lot of these things, it'll take you probably not days, but weeks or months. So to soften those things that you've seen and try to set them out of your mind. But we appreciate your being here and doing your job as jurors in this case. I too want to start off by talking to you about the voir dire process in this case, wherein you were selected to be the ones who hear the case. And I thought it was a real good way that Mr. Crusoe spoke to you in regards to the fact that we were talking about your being the judges in a case and whether or not you could sit in judgment on another individual. Mr. Crusoe told you to take your focus away from being in judgment of the defendant, but being in judgment of the case that they brought to you, because the question here in this case is, have they brought you everything that you will have to give them the verdict that they are asking for? Now, I want to make sure that everybody understands something. When we started off this trial, we started talking to you about, well, it's capital murder. They talked about that. No one really discussed anything about lesser offenses until Mr. Peel got up before you in the voir dire process and told you that it may not just be capital murder that you consider. If you recall, when I gave you my opening statement, I told you that I believe, when you heard all of the evidence in this case, that if you would keep an open mind throughout this process, the entire process, certain things may come to you to assist you in deciding the ultimate question is, what exactly is this defendant guilty of? And I told you then that I thought he would be found guilty, or that he should be found guilty of a lesser included offense, possibly murder. Now, just so that you know, because you're not down here every day, this is your day as a juror. You're not professional jurors. We are down here every day in the legal profession handling these cases and dealing with these issues, but you don't either. So just because this case starts as a capital murder doesn't mean anything about where it should end. The ending point of a trial is decided by the juror. And it is decided by the choices that the judge gives to you. And you see now that although when this case started, the only thing discussed was capital murder, we see now that we have various destinations that you can arrive at in your deliberations of what you heard in this courtroom this week. It could be capital murder. It shouldn't, but it could. It could be murder. It could be manslaughter. It could be negligent homicide. Now, where do these come from? Well, they come from an understanding that the law gives us that a person should truly be held accountable for only that which was in his heart when he acted. The mental state. What was happening with that person, and where did that person's mental state take him?
Is this?
You don't judge merely by the result of the conduct, because if that was the case, all they would have to do is stand here before you, show the
Really?
Okay. I assumed this was prosecutor number 2.
Yeah. But actually, you're right. I saw him earlier with the defendant.
That's weird, because usually it's one horse, one rider. Now, the
Yeah.
state can have one on their closing argument and one on rebuttal argument, but the defense,
It's very strange.
okay. Well, let's keep listening to this guy. And if just saying, if we can't tell if that's the state or the defense isn't that strong.
No, they're all kind of talking about the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, he's guilty. And one side is, please don't put him away forever. And the other one says, yeah, put him away forever.
Ceased, put the autopsies on and say, well, this is the result, this is what he caused, and so the verdict must be that. But it can't be. That's why we have trials. That's why we have trials. And they took on the responsibility in this case, repeatedly told you they take that responsibility and they'll live with it. And I submit to you that they have failed to do that.
Okay, yeah, that's
now,
the
as
defense.
I stand here before you folks, if you think that I would not stand here for a moment and argue that this defendant should be resolved of accountability for his actions. Absolutely not. But what is the appropriate verdict in the choices that you have before you? Capital murder. If you recall in voir dire, this case, when the judge finally told you what the defendant was charged with, she said it is capital murder, the highest charge in our land. 2 punishments: life or death. Life or death. And she told you that this case was not one involving an allegation or a request for a death sentence.
Oh, yeah.
So it still is life without the possibility of parole.
Yeah, state's closing arguments might have been 20 minutes. Then it was the defense and put up the first guy and now this guy. And then rebuttal closing arguments will commence after this guy unless they have one more guy.
The ultimate punishment in the case.
This is brand new to me.
And folks, when you accuse somebody of the ultimate charge, jurors, if you do your job, if you truly do your job, you should judge them just like they asked to be judged. Did they bring you the ultimate proof? Can you honestly, and folks, you'll answer this question by your verdict. What can you honestly go back there and say has been proven to you beyond all doubt?
He's zealously defending his client.
Doubt is the standard.
But, yeah.
Now, Judge Crusoe gets up and he says, and he's got a narrative. I mean, you've seen where their narrative has taken them through what they believe the evidence has shown in this case. And as he stood here and eloquently painted this picture for you of a situation that was preordained, and that he claims the defendant came into this situation that day with a heart bent on destruction, anger and rage, I think was the terms he continued to use. And that as he entered the hallway of the hospital that day, that this was a preordained destination of events. That's his theory. That's his narrative. They have now asking you to judge that narrative. And I'm going to ask you to do that because I submit to you the evidence absolutely does not substantiate that. The evidence doesn't prove that this was an intent by Nestor Hernandez to walk in there and cause this destruction. Now, so let's talk about how could we be here? What brings us here today if it wasn't this preordained destination that the state is adopting as their narrative of this case? And folks, that's where it gets complicated. And you know why it gets complicated? Because life's complicated. Life's complicated. Life is complicated out there for everybody in this room. Life is complicated out there for Nestor Hernandez. People find themselves in situations and relationships with people. It's not all romantic comedies on the movies. It's real life. And in real life, in this particular case, we've got Selena Bellatora and Nestor Hernandez, 2 people with lots of problems. Lots of problems and a long history between them.
Yep.
Drug use, criminality, cheating, lying, the whole host of things that go on between people that cause the friction and the issues that led to this particular situation. Was it a preordained destination, or was it something that happened in the split of a moment? And think about it, because as the judge told you, it's not always, they don't know if someone's going to testify, but our defendant got up there. He asked to get up there to tell his story to you, knowing that he would be judged by you, his credibility, knowing that you would look at his testimony in light of the other testimony that was before you from Selena Villatora. And I submit to you folks that there was nothing about this day that was in the midst of all of the problems that they were having. And he got up there and told you, and I think you can see it, and I think it has the ring of truth to it, because as he described that relationship and told you, she wasn't even gonna let me be claimed to be the father. She's telling me that sometimes I'm not the father, other times I.
Oh, really?
I know
Did you have evidence of that?
I'm not 100%
Defense
sure if it's
lawyer
even my baby,
number 2.
but he's talking about how he goes there that day and the day before.
Any text?
And she wasn't even going to let him take her to the hospital.
Anything to back that
How
up?
do you think that's going to make a man feel?
You have the word of a man who went into
again, this isn't,
maternity ward with a beer and a gun and killed 2 people and assaulted his girlfriend.
So he takes her to the hospital. And one of the issues I think is important in this case, and you may not, you may disagree, you may think what I'm telling you is wrong. But again, does it not have the ring of truth?
Nope.
Because Selena Villatora didn't really understand what importance it would have into the picture later. But how would we have ever known that she was holding out that birth certificate over Nestor Hernandez's head? You get rid of that gun now, or your name's not going to be on there. And he told you that because of what she said, I told her, okay, fine. And I stuck it in her bag and carried it into that hospital. And you got to think about it. Is it this preordained destination? Or was it something that came together in a moment, caused in part by Selena Villatora? And folks, again, I'm going to sit here because I believe that if you really examine the truth of this situation, there's a lot of this that got started, that was started by, exacerbated by Selena Villatora. Interesting, because see, we know from, as the prosecution told you in voir dire, they got to turn over all the evidence. We can see what everybody said on the day this all happened. I asked Glenn, when he gets in there, he's trying to talk to you, and what do you pulled the covers over your head and refused to talk to me, did you? Yeah. What do you think, folks? How's that going to make a person feel? Get out of here. I don't want to talk to you. And then you tell. And see, folks, let me ask you this, because this is a courtroom. This isn't scripted. This isn't television. Why is that important? What did they tell you about her pulling the covers over her head? I really don't remember her doing it.
Yep.
Well, I assume that they weren't especially faithful to each other, but a lot of people have been cheated on. And the DNA said the kid was his. So you kind of need to do the math as well. Roughly 1 to 1 week. I mean, you can find those things out, but then again, gangbangers only are good at math in grams, not in dates. Yeah.
Yeah, he testified that she said something about it not being his or something like that, and it made him mad. And my dog has just decided to open the door. Hello.
Doggy!
Hello, puppy. How's it going?
Oh,
Alright,
puppy.
come on.
Oh, we need to show puppy. Puppy.
All right, can you get up here? No, never mind.
Aw,
Later. Anyway,
later.
she's huge. She's like 35, 40 kilos, something like that.
Oh.
Anyway, she's big enough to open the door on her own, so I need to go back and lock it.
All right.
I'll get my second camera going.
Now, why is that important? Because it has the ring of truth to it. He gets there and he's in this situation that is getting worse by the moment. He says that at that point in time, we're arguing. She's telling me to get out. I get the gun. We start arguing, and as Miss Pakua comes in the room, she starts getting up and, well, I'm gonna do this, and she grabs her phone and starts to walk. Take a couple steps is exactly what he said, away from the bed. And then he walked around to get over there, and
she had a C-section the day before. She has the baby, but no, and she has IV and machines and stuff. But no, she took the phone and just started strutting around. I mean, no. No. Just no. I mean, C-section, that surgery is not, it's not like putting a Band-Aid on or 3 stitches because you cut yourself. It's kind of opening up the belly and from the navel down and stuff like that. You just don't get up and walk around. Ask your wife, defense lawyer number 2. Yeah. I have 4 sisters. I know way too much about that than I should. And yeah.
By the way,
yeah.
It just looks like I am 1 subscriber away from 800 right now.
Oh, everybody, one more to Ella's channel. Subscribe to her so she can get to 800.
Yeah.
Closing in on the big 1000.
Yeah, getting there.
Wasn't she nursing the baby? According to testimony, the baby was in the crib thingy until he started to walk towards it, and then she grabbed it to hold it. And not entirely sure in what sequence, if it was before or after, but I would assume it was after he killed nurse number 1, because there was a blood smear on the crib. And remember, she was facing the bed, and he walked up behind the nurse or the social worker, whatever it was, put the gun to the neck and fired the gun. So I would assume that a certain amount of panic ensued from girlfriend. Yeah. Yeah. Let's continue.
when she said, I want him out of here, what did he do? What did he tell you? I started to hit her. Okay? Folks, I believe that the evidence in this case showed that that is what is reasonable that took place. Not this preordained thought that he was wanting to kill everybody. And whatever Selena Villatore's story is now about, oh, I'm going to kill everybody that walks in the room. If that was really how he felt, folks, she would have been dead. She would have been dead if that was his ultimate goal. If this was a capital murder, she would have died on the spot. But he says, no, I hit her. I slapped her, and then I tried to hit her with the gun, and while we were going, the gun goes off. He said he didn't even know Miss Pakua had been hit at first. Did you hear how he described it to you? After the gun goes off, she was leaning. She didn't even fall immediately. That's from his perspective. That's what he told you the witness in. Now, folks, I want to stop here right as I talk about the testimony of my client in this case. I want to remind you of something. Okay? going back again to what was said by not only the court, not only by the prosecution, but also by co-counsel. They have burden. We have none. When the defendant got up there and testified, I'm going to tell you as I stand here right now, in order to find the defendant guilty of a lesser offense, you don't have to believe everything he told you. You don't have to believe everything he told you. The question is whether or not it causes you to have a reasonable doubt about what they charged him with. And they charged him with the ultimate case. And for it to come together for them, they have to have ultimate proof. I submit to you the things that the defendant told you. The gun went off. I had no intention of harming her. I had no intention of shooting her. I didn't want to do that. I was trying to hit this girl upside the head because of the way she was treating me. Folks, that has the ring of truth. Can you honestly go back there and say that that did not happen? Can you honestly go back there and say it didn't happen? And if the truth, when you ask yourself that question, is, as far as Ms. Pakua goes, I don't know. Because he went on to describe as to how he went over and he's opened the door and he just started shooting out the door, which caused, we know, ended up causing the death of Katie Flowers. But the situation at that point in time is crazy. It's crazy. It's out of control. And then we know the next time he steps out, he gets shot. And that's when all this screaming and things take place. But you got to understand, you can't take one moment and then go backwards and say that because of what he's screaming here, he must have felt differently here. That doesn't make sense. If his plan was to kill people, he would have walked in there and started shooting right from the start. That's where their case fails, because in order to get the ultimate crime, they got to convince you that this was what he was wanting all along. And they can't do that, not based on this testimony. The court charge tells you, look at the mental state. Mental state. Was the killing of Ms. Pakua knowingly, intentionally, or was it reckless? Was it done while he is trying to admittedly hit the mother of his child with a gun in a hospital? And see, folks, and the whole situation is ridiculous. And as I stand here and argue, I know you guys look out here and you see this courtroom full of good folks, good people. And I know that you have pressure to come back and do what you feel they want you to do. But that's not your job here. Your job's to do what's right. Your job's not to do the easy thing. Your job is to do the hard thing. And that is go back and analyze this evidence. Can you honestly say he was intentionally acting when Ms. Pakua got shot? And I submit to you that you can't. And Selena Villatora, her version of what she says happened out there is certainly, I submit to you, colored by the fact that she knows it was her own actions which started this tragedy. Think about it. If you were the one doing things that caused somebody to go to do acts that cause this kind of carnage, would you not try to soften the blow to yourself and those around you by deflecting the blame? Which I submit to you is what she's done here. You have these choices. Was it knowingly, intentionally? Did he say at the moment Ms. Pakua was shot, I want to shoot her, I want to kill her? Did they prove that to you? In light of all the factors, I submit to you that it's just as reasonable that as he told you it was reckless while he was trying to beat his wife or his girlfriend with that pistol. Those go down to the issues of murder. Goes to the issue of manslaughter. Okay? Because if you believe that maybe you don't know about Ms. Pakua for sure because there's parts of this evidence that doesn't sit well with you, or that causes you to only have a reasonable doubt, not to get up there and say, well, I believe every word of what he told me. That's not the law. We don't have to. You don't have to believe him. You just have to go back here and ask yourself, do I have a reasonable doubt, truthfully? And if I do I have the moral fortitude and the courage to do the right thing? And not only the right thing, but what I swore to this court prior to this testimony starting that I went through. Is it reckless? I submit to you it was. And if you find it to be reckless, then the proper verdict in this case is a verdict of guilty to manslaughter. Now, you go back there and look at it. It also gives you a choice to find whether or not you believe it to be criminally negligent.
No, sadly, while doing streaming, YouTube don't combine them. That would have been
Hopefully one day they will. That would be really nice.
yeah, one day they will, because there are, or I mean, there's StreamYard and other applications where you can dual stream and all of that. So YouTube, sooner or later, they are saying, "Oh, let's do one of those ourselves."
Yeah.
And then we can combine and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Considering the fact that like Nick and I can actually see everyone's chats together in one stream, you would think they'd make it possible.
Yeah, here's from Hella's stream, and here's one from mine. So we see all of it, but sadly, you don't. That is why it's important that you 2 tabs or 2 windows with each stream, so you can flip back and forth to see and put emojis and stuff like that, and super chats. Hint, hint. No.
Well, only in Nick's. Mine will happen once I get my watch hours finished.
Yeah. So after we are done with the after we are done with this stream, you go into one of Hella's playlists and put it on a loop. That makes the hours go ticking.
That would be.
And you only need, 10 people doing 100 hours. No.
100 hours, or 100 people doing 10 hours, or 1,000 people doing 1 hour. Whatever. Actually, I'm actually having a Hello Watchathon at the moment.
Oh,
so my Hello Watchathon is basically me chucking links in everyone's chats, going, please donate to the Hello Watchathon by donating your time by watching this one or that one or that one.
Yeah, and I forgot to add your streams on the playlist, on my playlist for this trial. Because if people in a month or in a week, I need to see that, then they can watch all of them, yours included, and then you will get a few hours from that.
Lovely, and I'll put yours in mine as well. I have playlists of places I've appeared or just things that are relevant to stuff I'm doing, so I'll do that as well.
All right, let's move on with this.
Negligent homicide. Now, I'm going to agree. I will agree with the prosecution if they get up here and say, Ms. Johnson has to be crazy to argue that. And truthfully, I think it might have to be. Because to get criminally negligent homicide, I think you pretty much have to believe the defendant. Have to believe everything he told you. You'd have to feel comfortable going up and saying, I'm basing this verdict on everything he told you. Now, you may not be able to do that.
Yeah,
I submit if you do your job.
Yeah,
he told you will cause you to have
this jury of your peers. In this case, his peers might have had a different approach to him. I mean, going into a maternity, because gangbangers are often fathers as well. And I don't know about the US gang, blah, blah, blah. But here in Sweden, don't go for family, because if you do, it won't end well for you. And hospitals, no in general, and maternity wards, no, that just doesn't happen. That's a completely new kind of evil when you go with a gun into a maternity ward. Yeah, I would assume so. That all of a sudden, okay, the one place where we thought we would never need a metal detector, all of a sudden you do. Because Mr. Nestor Osvaldo Hernandez, with the small feet, short statured, and tiny hands, and whatever tiny, decided to I'm a bit jealous, and therefore people must die.
Mm. Mm.
I'm 10
Mhm.
minutes away from 2 hours, so I can say what I really think.
Also, hello to Big Flair. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, hello to be fair. Welcome. You're much appreciated here.
Murphy Turfy.
Mersterf! Yay! And Reindeer and Atheist Ant and everybody who is here. Thank you for being here. Now go over to Hella so she can get the hours she needs. Put thumbs up or thumbs down. YouTube likes when you do all the things like active chat, thumbs up or thumbs down, super chats, memberships. No. Oh no, yeah, I agree, Heather. They are trying so hard with this victim blaming. Now, and I don't
No.
really care if she bounced off the hospital bed and hit him in the head. That's still, he brought the gun to the hospital with 2 magazines and a carton of extra bullets. That's intent.
Yep.
For me, at least. Yep. But let's continue here.
Definitely a reasonable doubt about capital murder. In this charge, folks, you have lots of choices. Capital murder. I submit that you really only have 3: capital murder, murder, and manslaughter. Negligent homicide might be a stretch. But I'm going to tell you, when you go back there, before you vote on anything, reread this charge. If all of you want a copy of the charge, send out a note. We'll try to get you, everybody can have their own copy. You can read it, discuss it together. But make sure you understand what you're deciding when you go back there. Because you're going to find that in all of these choices, every single choice that you have, you're going to have a paragraph between one charge and the next, from capital murder to murder, from murder to manslaughter, from manslaughter to negligent homicide. In every one of those choices, the court's going to give you an instruction that reads basically this right here. If you believe from the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty of either the murder of Jacqueline Pacur, the murder of Katie Flowers, or manslaughter of Katie Flowers, and here's the language between every choice you have. But you have a reasonable doubt as to which of these said offenses he is guilty. Then you must resolve that doubt in the defendant's favor and find him guilty of the lesser offense. Okay? That's in every choice that you have. And folks, like I said, you've heard this thing, and as I told you in opening statement, all I could ask for you to do is keep an open mind. And I know that there's not a person in this room that wants to do anything that could be perceived as in Nestor Hernandez's favor after the heartbreaking hardship that he's caused all these folks. But you remember when I first stood up here a few minutes ago, I told you, justice is when you find somebody guilty for what he actually did. They haven't come in here and proven that he intentionally came in there and killed 2 people. They haven't done that. It'd be easy for you to go back there and do it. But I'm going to trust that you're not going to do the easy thing. Go back there and read this chart. Read this chart. And folks, when you read it and you apply your common sense, when you go back there, and if anybody says, well, wait a second, there's parts about what Nestor said I didn't believe, go back there and think. Just the way he was phrasing certain things, the way he was describing certain things to you, the way
I wouldn't rely on his phrasing of things.
Even though
that
none
would
of you could imagine.
Tell me he has a vocabulary beyond a second grader.
I submit to you, every one of you could sit there and at certain times go, I think I know how he was feeling. Now, when it led to this carnage, it was wrong. Nestor Hernandez is going to pay for his crime, but he should pay for only that crime which he is guilty of committing. Folks, I'm going to sit down. Mr. Lewis gets up. As Mr. Peel just told you, I don't get a chance to get up and respond. He may get up and say, well, hey, Mr. Johnson, he's over there screaming about this, but he didn't mention this. I'll guarantee you, ain't nothing he's gonna say to you that I couldn't respond to if I was given an opportunity. I don't know exactly what he's gonna about to tell you, because I went over and tried to look at his notes early and he turned his pad upside down. So I've been here guessing what he's gonna say also. But I'm gonna ask you guys to do this. Because this is the ultimate allegation, I want you to give the defendant the ultimate presumption of innocence. And if Mr. Lewis makes a point that I haven't addressed, when you're back there to deliberate, I would like for somebody to stand up and say, what might Mr. Johnson's response have been to that point if he had been given a chance? Because I can promise you, folks, what I have told you here from the heart is what we, you, all of us in this courtroom have seen this week. And if you don't believe that this case meets the ultimate definition, not for retribution, because if we were talking retribution in this courtroom today, capital murder would be the easy and quick verdict. If we're talking about justice, the defendant will be found guilty for what he is guilty of, and that is a lesser offense from capital murder. And I'm going to ask you to take your time to think about it, but before you ever vote, make sure you read the language where the court tells you. If you believe he's guilty of something, but you're not sure beyond a reasonable doubt what it is, you must resolve it in his favor.
I think
That's
we could
the
have
appropriate
made
thing.
this speech
Follow your oaths,
in
follow the law,
less word.
follow the
but-
facts,
Hey,
and return a verdict that is justice and not revenge. Thank you.
yeah, generally I'm very pro-defense, but I mean, once the evidence is there with the video, with the photo, with the sound, his admission, I mean, sometimes,
If you can give me a 3-minute warning.
He's flogging a dead horse. Sorry, and that's not really nice wording considering the circumstances.
okay, now we are going to state rebuttal.
Hmm. Yeah, right, Dennis. He's going to let them take their time. Good on him.
Now, this is, but I have to, I'm not particularly fond of this rebuttal closing arguments, because this is when they bring out the big guns.
Yeah.
As now, these are the 2 women who he killed.
Mm.
This should have been, I mean, it's the state's case to prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
State presents, defense tries to pick it apart.
Mm.
Then you get some rebuttal, you have cross-examination, I mean, everything around that. But for me, that should be state's case, and then the defense if they have a case in chief.
Mm.
If the states get a rebuttal, so should the defense. Same thing with closing arguments, in my opinion. State's closing argument, defense closing argument. If the state wants a rebuttal closing argument, then so should the defense. That make it at least an equal playing field.
Yeah.
No, I don't think any rebuttal closing argument would help. No, in this particular trial, but for me, should be more even, because if the prosecution if the state has the 100% of the evidence, 100%, I mean,
The burden
of proof,
Yes.
then they should put out 100%
Mm.
of their evidence and not hope that the defense will fuck it up, because we just past 2 hours that the defense won't fuck up, and hope defense will fuck up, open a door or something like that, and then now we can rebut. No, you have your chance, because this trial is extremely evident this guy did it. Now the
Yeah.
jury has to decide in what degree. But yeah, there are many other trials where it's not so clear.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and we keep referring back to Zach, and when Gravely had the opportunity to rebut in that instance, that was just the nail in the coffin. Like, he
Yeah.
got to have the last word, and he got to lie his butt off in that
Yeah.
instance.
Yeah.
He got to stand there and say, well, maybe this happened, and maybe that happened, and there was blood in the van, and Rosalio's DNA was in the van, and
Yeah.
the body. He talked about the body. There was no
Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
Yeah.
he knew that nothing else could be said at that point.
Yeah.
So
And
that was it.
And this is why, in the one aspect where the Swedish system is superior, in my opinion, in this one aspect, is that the state pays for the prosecution and for the defense. Your lawyer, if you're a defendant in Sweden, the state will pay for your lawyer. You can ask
Really?
for a lawyer or get appointed a lawyer, but the state pays for it. Now, if you are convicted, now you can, in one of the penalties, now you can be have to repay all of it.
Right.
But up until then, since we believe that since the state is trying to put you away for a good amount of time, possibly that forever, then it has to be equal grounds. That's why
Is it
the
means
state.
tested?
What?
Is it means tested?
I don't understand that word.
Sorry. Is it means tested? So when you say it's you get the state covering the defense, is it tested based on your capacity to pay or not?
No.
It's not. I love
No.
that. I love that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because some defense are huge. We had a huge narcotics case a number of years ago. The guy was sat 4 years in jail before the trial started. And then once it got to trial, because since he got appointed good lawyers who then said, well, because since this trial is getting this big, we need the technically it's the court who pays, but it's the state. We need additional lawyers to dig through all this discovery. And court took that under advisement and said, yes, since the state has made the case from this big to this big, the defense got additional resources. Yeah, Gravely didn't do didn't?
Huh? Yes, he did.
Now I'm unsure. Because he did all the maybes and stuff like that in the closing argument. Yeah. And then the defense put the guy up who the jury has never seen before for their defense closing argument, which in my opinion was a bit of a mistake. But strategy. But was it really the assistant district attorney that did
No, the assistant district attorney did the closing, and then he did the rebuttal.
So, yeah, other way around. Okay. Second chair
did the rebuttal.
Well, yeah, but we are in this trial now.
So... I haven't gone crazy, have I? Have I completely lost my mind? Well, Solomon's here too.
Okay, if Solomon says so, then it's so. Yeah, but this is this trial. This was just a bit of a passage.
I'd like that cleared up now, though, because I feel like I've gone nuts.
Heather says laid it in your rebuttal. Okay. I have to go back and see, but not now because we have
I
this
don't
trial.
mind being proven wrong.
So I'm going back a few seconds.
Sure.
Went a bit off track. Which is perfectly normal.
Yes, Solomon, you need to do the superhero landing.
Hey, please, court, counsel,
See
ladies and
which.
gentlemen of the jury. Good morning. So we spent the last couple of days talking about the heinous acts of this
Wow.
defendant, Nestor
My
Hernandez,
memory has
and the absolute havoc that he caused at Methodist Hospital on October the 22nd, 2022. But I want to take this moment, just for a few moments, to remember and focus on these victims. Jacqueline, Jackie, Pakua, Katie, and Ned Flowers.
Yep.
That's
And
what this case is
boom.
about.
In sex trial, the assistant
They
did
had
the rebuttal.
family.
Okay.
They had friends, they had coworkers,
blows my
they
mind.
loved them. They were
Thank
doing
you,
what they
Wilson.
love to do on that day.
Okay.
Helping others, being public service. Jackie, social worker. Annette, being a nurse, helping mothers and their babies. Doing what they love to
Okay.
do. When they were
State's
viciously
rebuttal is the emotional
deliberately,
side.
and
Good
intentionally
choice.
cut down and murdered by this man, Nestor Hernandez. So as we review the evidence in this case, in this closing argument, and when you go back to deliberate on this case, I want you to remember them. Remember them, Jackie and Annette. So let's talk about the credible evidence in this case. Let's start with Selena Viatora. She's not an angel. She's not a saint. And I'm honest with you on that stand.
Okay. Just a reminder, if they are showing gore, this will happen. And we will listen to it.
Yeah.
But I won't show you any gore on my channel if I can avoid it. Oh, there.
What'd you hear? You heard the first bang and then you heard a thud. That is the body of Jacqueline Pakua hitting the ground. Disproving what he says that she didn't fall. You heard it yourself just then. He goes through the door. He claims he's not looking. You can look at that video and tell he's pointing his gun. He raises it, points, and fires, not once, but twice. Bang, bang. You see Annette standing right in front of that door. There's no way possible that he did not see her when he fired that gun. Not once, but twice.
Yeah, and that's intent.
Okay, so what it more
Intent in most US states is not you have to plan it. It can be that second between the first and second shot. He sees her, shoots, misses, and decides to shoot again. Intent.
Mm-hmm.
credible evidence? What did Sergeant Rondell tell you? Well, even before that, Selena says he reloaded the gun. Oh, I didn't intend to hurt anybody. I didn't intend to do anything with that gun. Really? You got a gun in your pocket? Not only the gun, but you bought some extra bullets as well. Extra bullets. A box of bullets sitting there in that room. See, the credible evidence is starting to pile up. He wants to sit up here and say that this defendant shouldn't be absolved of his responsibility, but then he lays it all on Selena? Really? Okay. Sergeant Rondell, what does he tell you? He hears the shots, he responds. Thankfully, he wasn't hit because he was standing right to it, man. He retreats, he calls for help. At that moment in time, the defendant comes outside of the room with the gun still in his hand.
Yes, he brought 2 magazines and a box of ammo. I do believe they showed 2 magazines, not 1, but I'm not sure. Exactly who the F shoots up a maternity ward? The defendant in this case.
Yep. Hey, another bummer.
And he is forced to fire to protect not only himself, but others. Because as Selena told you, he was hell-bent on killing more people. Push the button, push the button. Nah, she refused to do it. He was trying to get somebody else in that room to kill him. Sergeant Rondell, like I said in my opening statement, thank God he was there because he definitely saved additional lives that day. And how do you know that the defendant tried to come out of that room? That's the bullet that Sergeant Rondell fired. Went right through his leg and lodged into the wall. That's how you know he tried to come out that room. Plus you saw the video of him trying to come out with credible evidence. And all right, let's get to the defendant's statement. I'm not going to even waste my time, waste your time talking about this whole back and forth with Selena, the cheating, the STDs, and him not believing the baby was his because you have his medical records and evidence, no mention of any STDs. You also have the DNA test proving he's the father. Let's not waste our time with that. He wants you to believe that he goes into the room and with his word, they begin to tussle. Him and Selena. Selena, who had a baby the day before, not only had a baby, she had surgery. She had a C-section. She told us that she was in a lot of pain. But he wants you to believe that they're in there slapping and fighting each other. Not only is she in pain from the C-section, as you saw on multiple body cams, she's hooked to an IV. She can't move around like that. But he wants you to believe that he's in there fighting with her, and she's the aggressor. It's not credible. So in the course of that, they're tussling, as he says. He pulls out the gun by his own admission. He says,
We don't know why he chose to reload, but he did.
my finger wasn't even on the trigger. Okay. So he walks towards Selena. He begins, by his own admission again, striking her with the gun. And in the course of trying to strike her again in the head, Jackie walks between them. Okay, we know that that's not credible. Who in their right mind is going to try to stop a fight with somebody with a gun? But that's what he wants you to believe. And during the course of trying to strike Selena, he accidentally discharges the gun. He accidentally puts a hole directly in the back of her head. That was an accidental shot? No, sir. The evidence shows that this was a deliberate kill shot, just like Selena said. Deliberate. And then he fires out the door.
Now we're just going to listen because
Oh, I wasn't
even if we only see the bottom of the screen, yeah. So let's listen to him. I will if I can, I will describe what's on the screen. But on the screen, bullet holes.
looking. Okay, you weren't looking, but you caused that shot right there directly to her face. And you shot 2 times, but you didn't intend to hurt anybody. Okay, sir. Stippling. What did the ME tell you about the stippling? That is burnt gunpowder. You only see that between 3 and 5 feet. Close range, all over her face. credible evidence, adding up, adding up. Partner! Hey, I'm Robert. What's your name, partner? What's your name? Talk to me. Okay. Okay, listen. We can work this out, partner, okay?
I'm not muted.
All I want to do is just get the people outside, please. We can work this out. Just let them outside, okay? Just throw the gun outside. Throw the gun out, please. Throw the gun outside. Parker, we can work this out, man. Trust me. If this was an accident, Selena's not going to be screaming bloody murder. Telling him to stop. Pleading with him to stop. He testified yesterday that after he accidentally shot these women, that he was looking for help. No, he wasn't looking for help. He's talking about he's got a hostage. He's refusing to come out of the room. No, ain't no working shit out. Y'all already know what time it is. Talking about a plan. The DA's right. He had a plan. He intended to go there to commit murder.
I know the entire trial, the audio was bad, but thanks to Wilhelm Media, it's bearable at least. We can still hear somewhat what they say. Maybe not rely too much on the closed captions, but we can at least hear it.
Multiple murders. The defense attorney talks about, well, this evidence doesn't show a plan. We actually don't have to prove a plan to you. All we have to prove is that he intentionally and knowingly killed both victims during the same criminal transaction. But the evidence, the credible evidence here shows that he had a plan. And let's just be honest about this. At the end of the day, this man is a coward. He's a coward. He's talking about we're gonna die today. Nah. Some other people are gonna die. Now, I would agree with Mr. Johnson on this, that Selena and his relationship, that's a toxic relationship. They were extremely troubled.
Random detached head is the court reporter. That what she is speaking into, it's sort of a funnel. So no other sounds gets in, so she can put a record of what's been said. So it's speak to text, more or less. And not the Dave kind, where he speaks to text and it's amazingly funny what the text is. No, she's trained in that. So that's what you see there in the background over here.
I agree with him on that. But their trouble. That's what this is all about. She cheated on me. He brought their drama to these women. They didn't have anything to do with that, which shows that he is a coward. He killed, intentionally and knowingly killed 2 totally innocent victims. He told you that himself. These women were innocent. They didn't have anything to do with that drama and that mess that he was on that day. Yet here we are. Here we are. The overwhelming and credible evidence shows that this defendant, Nestor Hernandez, intentionally and knowingly killed Jacqueline, Jackie, Kapua, Katie, and Annette Flowers on October 22nd, 2022. And I just want to close with this. going back to the jury charge, bottom of page 4 and 5. In order for you to even go to the lectures, and I agree with the DA, you're not gonna make it there. You're not gonna make it to those lectures. But in order for you to make it there, you have to all agree. All 12 of you have to agree that he is not guilty of capital murder. You all have to be unanimous on that. So if there's one person sitting back there saying that he is guilty of capital murder, hold to your convictions. Don't waver. Again, the evidence in this case is so very overwhelming. I don't anticipate that you will take very long with your verdict. But again, I ask that you keep peace
That's
in your
objectable.
mind as you deliberate on this case. Think about their family. Think about their friends. Think about their coworkers, the people that love them. You speak not only for those people, you speak for this community when you tell him that he's guilty of capital murder and that we're not going to tolerate this kind of foolishness and violence here in Dallas County. I submit to you that the only just and right verdict in this case is guilty of capital murder, and we will await that verdict. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you now have all the evidence in this case. You have the argument of counsel. You also have the court's charge. However, it's lunchtime. And so I'm going to release you for an hour's lunch.
Yeah.
You will return at 1:45.
And thanks to Wilhelm Media, we don't have to
And
wait
when
an
you're
hour.
all gathered in the jury room, please hit the red button so we know that you're all there. And at that time, the court will give you the charge and other documents, relevant documents. In the first order of duty, you need to select a presiding juror, and you'll have the form here, okay? You're still under my instructions as you're at lunch. Do not discuss with each other. Do not do any research. Do not discuss with anybody else. You are only to deliberate.
Hella,
when
can you
all
entertain
12
the
of you
people while
are
I
in the jury
sit in
room.
the boys' room?
Is that
Off you
understood?
go.
All right. The alternate jurors will be left to a separate room where they will stay throughout the deliberation unless something happens with one of the substantive jurors. They will otherwise do not go contrary to any of the instructions that I've given you. You do not want to make trial in this case. And as I said, push the red button. All of them are present. If you need a break, push the red button and the bailiff will come and attend to you.
If you
Okay?
need a break,
All right.
push the red
See you at
button
1:45.
and something will come and attend to you. Oh, that's right. Vil was saying something about there being a. Yeah. Is Vilhelm here? I haven't seen him in chat. There's the little red light. Hey. Okay, right. So apparently, when the jury go in, that little red light is ready for if they need something, kind of like a little waitressy kind of bell, right? Yeah. Okay. So that means I thought they were on lunch, but that's like the juror little red lighty thing. Oh, okay, Josie, that's cool. We have to run to a meeting, but we'll be listening. Oh, that's really cool. And take a moment to make sure you are subscribed. Hit the like. Let's get EU those watch outs. You are the best. Thank you, Josie. You're an awesome mod. I love you. Okay, yeah. So the red light is supposedly some sort of little jury light, like a magical jury light. Have you ever heard of this before, Nick? Hey, yeah. Wilhelm was saying that red light is like the jury light.
Yeah, it seems
And
you recall. It says on it, or
you recall. Oh, it's
yeah,
off.
you recall.
Yeah. So if they need anything or something, the red light comes on.
Okay,
Also,
nice.
yeah, and also like if they have a verdict, the red light comes on. Maybe it flashes or something. Maybe it does like a bat signal or changes color. And
Yeah,
maybe
maybe.
like a little song happens too. maybe
Guilt,
maybe it
guilt,
play
guilt, guilt,
Yeah.
guilt, guilt.
maybe maybe it sings the US national anthem, All Star Spangled Banner. Imagine. Like you know how in like Asian countries it's like all of the appliances sing little songs
Mm.
in like Japan and South Korea and that kind of thing. All like appliances and things sing little songs at you. Like if you get like a dishwasher from like Japan, it'll go ding 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 when you're washing stuff.
And seated.
Maybe this is similar.
Would the presiding juror, Ms. Tipton, raise her hand for me? Mr. himself. All right. Has the
Bobby.
jury arrived
I
at
think
a
it's a
verdict?
secret guilty song.
Is the verdict unanimous?
Yes, it is.
All right. I will
Ah,
proceed.
that's
to
it,
read the
we're on.
verdict. If the defendant will stand for. In the state of Texas
It's like
versus Nestor
white
Hernandez,
smoke.
we, the jury, unanimously find the defendant guilty of the offense of capital murder as
Ta-da!
charged in the indictment. Ladies and gentlemen, please raise your hand if that is your verdict.
Nobody is
Let the
surprised.
record reflect that the verdict is unanimous. Does either side wish to further?
I don't know how long they took, but
I'm gonna
it's
Google that. Hang on.
it wasn't long. But Wilhelmer Media, when he did the sound bearable, he also took away the pauses and how long they deliberated. So that we went directly from here's the closing arguments, and few minute later, here's the verdict. Now I don't know if they are going directly to sentencing, because this stream has 40 more minutes,
Oh,
so they might go directly to sentencing. Since
let's see.
yeah, because I don't think the court has any choice, but there might be victims impact statements and stuff like that. Yeah, Veal isn't a fan of BS. Dennis Heaton said about an hour of deliberations. That's long.
No, well, there was lunch included in that.
Yeah, lunch included. Yeah, they came back the same day. So more or
quite
less,
nice tacos.
they got lunch. Then they sat down and let's sign this.
Yeah.
Let's have a, I don't know, play some Yahtzee, and then we
It
walk
says
in.
hour and a half. One of the news sources says an hour and a half. One of them says about an hour.
Okay, so yeah, somewhere in there
Okay.
between. Yep.
Poll the jury.
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Y'all can sit there. Ladies and gentlemen, that ends your service
Oh,
on this case.
to be fair.
Having
Right,
found the
the
defendant
red light did
guilty
come
of
on.
capital murder as charged in the indictment, it now falls on me to assess punishment. So I'm going to release you back into the jury room. You can talk to each other if you want, discuss your verdict with anybody of your choice, because you are no longer under my rule and I'm discharging you from your service. If you want, you can come back into the courtroom as members of the public. You can also wait in the jury room if you want to talk to either of the parties, the attorneys, okay? And I'll address you shortly. So I'm going to discharge you. Thank you.
I don't get it.
All right.
Okay, I think she's going directly to sentencing.
Yeah, it seems like it, but I don't understand the instructions she just gave to the jury. She's discharging them.
Yeah.
And they get to go chat to the attorneys?
Yeah,
Why?
if they chooses, they can choose if they want to, or they can just leave. because sometimes they want to interview the jury about how did they come to that conclusion and stuff like that. If they're
But what good does that do them? I mean, at this point, like, has this got anything to do with sentencing at all?
no,
Or not?
but
Is this might be appeal?
yeah, it might be appeal issues and just so the jury, if the defense wants to or the prosecution wants to. Now, often that depends on the actual verdict, how long they stayed in there, and stuff like that. Because say they went in there and stayed for 2 days. Now,
Yes.
now the defense might want to ask, was this your original verdict? What was persuasion, stuff like that? Yeah, Michael Turney's lawyers wanted to talk to the jury, and that was the directed verdict.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably
and they still wanted to talk to the jury just to make sure where would you have gone with just the state's case. Okay, in Texas, the defendant can opt for jury sentencing or judge. I didn't know that, but this is capital murder, so I don't think they had the judge has a choice.
No, not in this case.
But
But
even if he opt for jury sentencing or judge,
I still find this really interesting. She's discharged them.
Yeah, but
their
job was done.
Ask them to go chat.
Yeah, that's just if the defense or the prosecution have any questions for them.
Okay, I suppose she has discharged them. All right, so it's not that they have anything to do with the sentence.
No,
yeah,
they're gone. They can walk into the jury room and then more or less fick it. And
but they could leave.
Yeah,
they could just leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sentencing, and I would assume, since it's 40 minutes, there will be some victim impact statements in this. So tissues ready, because
yeah, this is going to be difficult.
That's the first time they actually showed the gallery. I wonder who will talk on his behalf. Like no one?
I wonder.
Oh, a nose ring.
Sure.
We could be in for some interesting characters. If there's anyone on his side.
The rest of his gang, oh, yeah, he's a moron.
Now he's my bro.
Really? But sometimes she will walk into the jury room and do that in private. But usually it's done then and there in court.
Hey, what's the deal on the crowd?
Welcome to Texas. Everything is bigger in Texas. Sorry. Hey, I'm a big guy, even by US standard. I'm a big guy. I can say, I'm allowed to say this thing. Let's jump ahead.
You have a giant head.
Oh, come on. That's a big dude.
Which one?
That one. I think it's a dude.
I reckon his head's bigger than yours.
No.
No.
I mean, I give Kurt a run for the money.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
No question.
Now, this helmet is barely fits me, and that is 64 centimeters around. What's that in inches?
30,
25 inches.
25 inches. Okay, my waist is smaller than that.
And that's
Yeah,
my head. Yeah.
my waist is smaller than that. I'm not kidding.
No, that's not Weird Al Yankovic. He's
Weird Al- it does-
definitely smaller.
That's his son.
Yeah, what can I say? Let's continue.
Remember he did
Yeah,
that
he's bigger
parody
than
called
me.
Eat It?
Oh,
Remember the Michael Jackson song Beat It? Remember he did
Yeah.
the parody called Eat It? Yeah, his son took it literally. Sorry.
now, I do believe I'm taller than that guy, but he's definitely wider.
That's true.
Yeah,
He has
but let's not.
amazing hair though.
Thank you. Oh, you mean what? Did you mean him?
Yeah, you both do. You both
Okay.
got better hair than me.
When do they actually start? Let's see here.
Hagrid.
Yeah, and for those who might wonder, yeah, after a chiropractor has stretched my spine out, I'm 6'4", and I'm roughly 250 pounds. So I'm a big guy even by US standards.
Okay. All right, let's bring the.
Okay, let's bring the defendant in. Hello, motherfucker! Oh, whoops! Did I say that out loud? Aww.
No. You didn't say anything bad at all. No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. If there are victim impact statements, no jokes. But I
We'll
just
be very
couldn't
nice
help
then.
myself.
No, we behave. But now we can poke fun at this dude.
Now, if he hadn't had a gun, all I would need to do is that on his head, and yeah, what you gonna do?
Bit of a waste of space.
Oh, good. Evolve recovery. Nobody here heard me there. Thank you. Yeah. I don't know that word. And oh. Oh, come on.
Means stupid.
All right,
Oh.
the defense will, rise from me with back on the record. All right, Mr. Hernandez, was just found guilty of the first degree capital murder case. And Mr. Hernandez, I'm now going to impose punishment. But before I do that, counsel, is there any legal reason why sentence should not be imposed?
No, no.
Mr. Hernandez, I'm assessing your punishment at life and prison without the possibility of parole. I'm not assessing a fine. It's the judgment and decree of the court that he be taken by the sheriff and handed over to the distribution division of the criminal justice, where you shall serve this sentence until this sentence is expired. The sentence starts today. Okay? Now, this was not a plea bargain agreement. This was not an agreement between you and the state. This was a trial, so you do retain, your rights to appeal the sentence, okay, and the judgment. And I've handed you a copy of the trial court certification of your right of appeal, which explains it, okay? Do you understand that document? I know your attorney explained it to you, and you sign it. Do you understand your right, your appellate rights?
Yeah, defense attorney used crayons and easy to follow pictures to explain the sentence.
Yep.
Sure.
Why not?
I'm also going to make an affirmative finding that a deadly weapon to which a firearm was used or exhibited during the commission of the documents.
Yeah, now they are stacking up.
Even though
for
it
it,
doesn't really make any.
no matter what he do, or the governor thinks,
Is there
he
a
won't
victim
get out.
impact?
Yes, Your Honor, we had 5 from the Starow family, and then I have 1 brief written from the full family that nobody could see here today.
Oh, all right, that will be off the record.
Okay, they had one brief, but not an impact statement for Nestor Hernandez. Then that will be she will have that in chambers. I don't know. I don't care. Uh-huh.
Well, in both sides.
Yeah. And remember, folks, thumbs up, down, whatever. But subscribe and watch on her channel. She needs the hours. I don't mind if you super chat or buy memberships on my channel. And,
Memberships are good.
Memberships are great. It's on my channel, $3 a month, and you get the most members-only content on all of you, LawTube. I was told that, and I didn't know that. Had I known that, I would have produced less. But now here we are with hours and hours and hours of members-only content.
So,
just
the jury
reams
having
of it.
found the defendant guilty of capital murder and the court having assessed punishment at life in prison without the possibility of parole, the family, friends, and the victims, the victim's family has the right to make victim impact statements.
Okay, let's
The
stay
public
silent for this
and
part.
the defendants are not to make any derogatory comments, facial expressions, or bodily movements. This is the victim's family's time to state how they feel, and we need to afford them that respect. Does everybody understand? All right, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah. There you go up.
All right, well, you all want to do it one at a time, or I thought it was in a group? In a group.
We just wanted to stand as a group, but we have individual
Okay.
statements.
That's fine.
Thank you.
As Annette's niece, your actions have completely shattered my heart. As a nurse, it pisses me off. Annette devoted her life to taking care of people, just like Jackie did. Everyone in healthcare does. We vow to serve others, even scum like you. After you wreaked havoc that day and sold 2 beautiful souls who undoubtedly were better human beings and more deserving of life than you will ever be, they still saved your life. I hope every day for the rest of your miserable life, you are haunted by their names, faces, and the legacy that you cut short. Although you don't care about any of that, you've shown no remorse for anything. What if someone had done this to your mother? Imagine having your heart ripped out of your chest. That's what you did to all of us. We had to sit here and look at pictures and watch video of you violently murdering women that you don't even deserve to breathe the same air as. I noticed that you didn't even look up during the autopsy photos. That again shows what kind of a coward you are. You act hard and like you're bad, but you are nothing but a loser who is never going to amount to anything other than a mistake that your mother made the day she birthed you. Your mother will have to live the rest of her life knowing what you did, and I hope that haunts you. It probably won't, because you obviously care nothing about anyone else other than yourself. I hope that that little boy who unfortunately has to share your DNA never grows up to know what a waste of human space you are. I pray that he lives a life full of love and happiness, a life that you would never have given him. Jackie and Annette will live on in me, our families, and every single healthcare worker that will continue to serve others in their honor. You will rot in a prison cell until hopefully you suffer a long and drawn out painful death and face the hell that you have come. I'll continue to live and work and serve others. I will be the best nurse that I can possibly be, and I'll continue to live a life full of happiness, love, and grace. I'll make memories with my family and my friends. You, however, will live your days in a prison cell where your short, fat self will undoubtedly be made someone else's special friend, where every day they will have their way with you. Unfortunately for them, if the photos of your toddler-sized shoes have anything to say with it, they will be disappointed.
I just have to. I'm not sure what she said is actually allowed, but
How so?
Judge doesn't stop her. Damn, that's a speech, and she means every word of it, and he deserves every word of it. This is just me doing legal thingy about it. Yeah, she went at him, and he deserves
Right.
every word of it. But for the process, I'm not so sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a threat.
Mm.
It's whether it's not allowed as in the process. It's just that she could get in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, they are instructed before what they can and cannot say. Now, I don't know the Texas rules. They might be more lenient in expressing their feelings. I don't know. But
Okay.
damn, she went. That part that is a mistake his mother did. Yeah. Oh. Damn. That's.
Yeah.
He deserves it. No question about it. I'm just here with a legal mindset kind of thing.
Your toddler-sized shoes have anything to say with it, they will be disappointed. Rot in hell.
Toddler-sized shoes.
Right.
I mean, Jesus Christ, she was at him.
What's your step?
Yeah. As my mother, I loved taking care of other people, so I professionally raised babies for 12 years. I appreciate your concern. Okay. Firstly, I would like to everyone notice that this jacket is no longer just a jacket. This jacket is the loudest respect I was allowed to show my mama and Jackie Pakua. This jacket was worn by my mama for too many years, doing the very thing that cost her her life, her job. This jacket somehow, some way, just so happened to be the very color that Jackie wore doing the same exact thing, her job. I lost my mama because she cared more about your son than you did. You don't care about any of this. Like my girl said, if you did, we wouldn't be here in the first place. All of this show here is for them. My mother, Annette Flowers, Jackie Pakua, every healthcare professional across the globe. They do not deserve, nor should they ever have to worry about their safety going into work every day. You're the last community that should have that. My mom, above all else, by choice, was just that, a mom. She was a superwoman, to say the least. Single mom that raised 4 kids on her own, working full time, always making sure we felt loved and supported. And I'm beyond blessed that I was raised by a woman who was able to be an adult, show up for her children, her friends, her coworkers, her patients, and anyone within earshot that needed her or just to borrow a little bit of her power. There's nothing I can say to you. It doesn't matter. You're never going to care. But we all show today who she was and have this entire week by the strength that we have had to show and put on ourselves. All for what? You couldn't control yourself for 1 hour, 2 hours, however long you were allowed to be in that hospital. You couldn't walk away. We had to sit there and watch you cry for your mommy after we sat here and watched over and over again how you made sure we will never be able to do that again. I have nothing else to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Nestor will never
I'm
hold his
Annette's oldest
newborn
granddaughter.
baby.
I was 14 when you murdered
For the
her.
best.
14 years old.
Child might grow up better.
I had to endure the trauma of her being murdered. A middle schooler listening to the detectives describe how you killed her. And now I'm 15, having to relive it again this week. I haven't gone a night without thinking about her. I break down randomly in school and I have to leave class to collect myself. I cry myself to sleep most nights, wondering how someone could do something so cruel, and you don't even care. How is it possible to be so selfish that you take someone's life? The first few months after the murder were unreal. I would leave my house and everything would be a blur. I would be in class 1 minute and sobbing in the counselor's office the next. I couldn't handle the fact that she was gone. We had to go to her house the day it happened to meet with the detectives, and I couldn't even look at her room. Her covers lying on the bed that she was laying peacefully in not even 12 hours ago. She was one of the most important people in my life. I was with her in Austin a week before she died. She was supposed to be here for so many parts of my life, as your son should be in yours. She never got to see me make high school cheer, and I wouldn't have done it without her. She was the person I needed to thank the most. She went to every volleyball game that she could be at. She was always there cheering me on. She doesn't know that I made the high school team, and she didn't get to see my tears of joy when I found out. She always told me to follow my dreams, and when I told her I wanted to be a lawyer, she was so happy. She always told me about the strength that I'll have to have and the work and the hours that I'll have to put in. She didn't get to see me walk the stage when I was inducted into the college program at my high school, where I'm studying criminal justice. She doesn't get to see me graduate high school, and she didn't even get to see my little sister graduate kindergarten. Anytime I think of any of my accomplishments, I'm in tears. Not tears of joy, but tears of sorrow, because she didn't get to see any of them. I miss her more than words can describe, and the fact that she died so traumatically messed me up in a way that I don't know if I can recover from. My perception of the world is completely shattered. I'm always on edge, scared something's going to happen to me. I miss the girl I was before. I was just a normal teenage girl who wasn't worried about someone coming to a place where I should be completely safe, taking my life. And it makes me sick that you can come up here and give your testimony with absolutely no remorse in your voice. The only thing that you were worried about was the fact that she cheated on you. I had nothing else to say.
And the STD.
I'm Annette's oldest daughter. I cannot even begin to express the feelings I'm having today. And sitting here, having to relive this nightmare of losing my mom. Not only losing my mom, but hearing the awful details of her tragic death. But I'm going to try my best for my mother. If you knew my mom, you would know she was an angel on earth. She lived for her kids, she lived for her grandkids, and she lived for her patients. You know, the ones that she was caring for the day her life was tragically taken by someone who doesn't even deserve to be breathing the same air as the families in this room. It takes a special person to be a nurse, patient and kind, generous with their time. When we were younger, my mom had 4 kids at home that she was raising alone. She never once complained about how long and many hours she spent at the hospital away from her kids. Her heart was entirely into her career, which showed daily with every mommy and baby she cared for. She also valued the time she spent outside her long hours at the hospital. Being a single mother is not for the weak, especially with the 4 of us. Some years we would have to get up at 2 a.m. on Christmas mornings to open gifts before she had to be at a 12-hour Christmas Day shift at the hospital, pretty much every other year. She had a heart of gold. She was such a selfless person. Here I am before all of you, a mother myself, having to speak about the vicious murder of mine. It feels unreal. At 38, I still need my mother. She was my only parent. I still want to call her every day and ask her questions about cooking or weird health symptoms that my kids or I might be having, questions about my childhood. But I can't. All the while, this monster was shouting out, "Call my mom," while he was being taken into custody. Lucky for him, he can still do that. Unfortunately for me, my sisters, my brother, my kids, we can't ever again. My 15-year-old daughter just spoke and gave her statement, but my youngest was only 5 years old when you took her Grammy from her. Luckily, we have more than enough good memories that we'll be able to keep alive in her going forward, so she can feel the immense amount of love her Grammy had for her. But still, her own earliest memories of her Grammy will always and only be the horrific story and trauma of her Grammy's death, by the hands of someone who should have never had the chance to even set foot in the hospital at all, much less have access to a gun in a hospital on what should be the safest department of the entire hospital. I want to thank everyone here and those who couldn't be here for the outpouring love and support you've given my family and me at this time. I also want to take this moment to grieve with Jacqueline Pakua's loved ones and offer my sincere condolences to them. The death of our loved ones, these hospital workers, was not in vain. They left an impact on this world, and they will continue to leave a mark on all through the patients they served and cared for, and through the improved safety of nurses around the world.
Thank you. Stacy, do you have a box of Kleenex? Thank you. Thank you.
I am Annette Flowers' youngest daughter. I have been in an utter loss of words while trying to describe the way what you did affected me. It has affected every single aspect of my life. I'm also only 30 years old, the exact same age you were when you took her. And now just entering the real years of adulthood, looking at buying a house, starting a new career, and finding the person I want to spend my life with. You took the one person I'm supposed to be able to go to for all my life questions, my mom. While I hope your mom never speaks to you again, and in fact, it appears she is not here to support you now, I don't even get that option anymore. There are still times to this day that I will need my mom and I'll go to text her or call her, and the reality hits me all over again. I don't get to share any more special moments with my mom because of you. I didn't get to introduce her to the wonderful man that treats me exactly how she always hoped someone would, someone who's an actual man. I didn't get to take her on the trips I planned and make more everlasting memories with my mom. She doesn't get to see me build a life for myself, and she won't get to walk me down the aisle at my wedding. I've never felt so alone on this earth than the day that you murdered her, and every day since. A part of me died with her that day. I don't understand why anyone would bring a gun into a hospital surrounded by the most vulnerable people on earth, where new mothers are learning how to take care of their brand new life that they created with your own child. You don't bring a gun into a hospital unless you have the intention of doing what you did. You didn't bring pepper spray, a taser, or anything else that is for self-defense without costing someone their life. You brought a weapon that does nothing but take someone's life. I'm now terrified anytime I see a gun in public. I grew up running the halls of Mesquite Community Hospital, and now I'm scared of hospitals. I recently had a serious heart event due to the stress of what you did, but I was too scared to even go to a hospital. It took me hours to finally make it to an urgent care, and you did that to me. I just can't comprehend what kind of monster you have to be to not only abuse the mother of your own child, but then take the lives of two mothers from their children all within 1 hour. The absolute disregard for anyone besides yourself is disgusting, and as George already said, you are a coward. She was the only parent I had, and now I have none because of you, and you deserve far more, but you deserve nothing than life, less than life in prison.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank everyone in the courtroom, members of the. Oh, you still have this? All right, very well. Okay, y'all can sit down. Go ahead, that's.
I was gonna say there's nobody that could be here today because they're out of town, but I was emailed one by her brother, Michael O'Huro, so if I can read that.
Yeah, go ahead.
On the 22nd of October, 2022, Jacqueline had left home to the Methodist Hospital to do her job. A job she loved because of her gentle and kind heart. Serving people along her profession, social work was her passion, and she did this every day with love for those she had the opportunity to serve. On the 22nd of October, she couldn't go home to her son Nigel, and Nigel and Jacqueline's family will never see her again because she had been shot and killed by Nestor Hernandez, a man she had never seen before. The senseless and cruel killing of Jacqueline only demonstrates thorough disregard for human life by the man Nestor Hernandez. Without a thought or care in the world, he killed Nigel's mom, our sister, our auntie, and a wonderful person. Throughout the trial, and particularly as he testified, we struggled to find some remorse from this man, some regret, and perhaps some sorrow, even if it was in hindsight, but we found none. All we saw was a heartless man who feels no remorse for the pain he has caused, whose only interest was to create a scenario that this senseless killing was out of some confusion and frustration he experienced at that time. This man, Nestor Hernandez, is a man who just wants to get off the hook. Our pain is deep, and we cannot grieve sufficiently for Jacqueline's death. We think of Nigel, her son, 13 years old, and we pray to God that in his goodness and mercy, he himself will be Nigel's guide. We pray for justice for Jacqueline's murder. We seek justice for the senseless killing, punishment that fits the crime, so help us God.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank everyone who's in the courtroom, members of the public, the victim's family. Thank you very much for remaining calm throughout the proceedings. It's been a difficult week. And I hope somehow that you can get closure from this tragedy. But thank you for your grace, and I wish you all well. Thank you.
Wow.
Okay. Whew. Yeah.
That last lady was tough to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Mm.
Oof.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Like my mom is getting really elderly now. And yeah, I really count every day that she's still here as a bonus.
Yeah.
She's getting to see my little one grow up, and she's got 30 something grandkids, and she just had her first great grandkid.
Oh.
And yeah, I know, and she's doing okay. But and my dad as well. The thing is that I remember, around that lady's age, a little bit younger, thinking, I remember going through a period of just being like, oh, imagine if I lost her. You know, imagine if I lost her. She's just this rock in your life. You know, your parents are kind of like this. I think, especially a mum and a daughter, they have this this bond, especially and as you get through into adulthood. And this poor lady, she's 30, and she loses her mum just out of the blue like that. I think she said she didn't have a dad as well. And
Yeah.
But now for her to just know she won't have her at a wedding, and won't be able to have her a grandma for her daughter. That was tough.
Yeah, I mean, my mom passed away over 30 years ago. And I have to thank, because I've said this on previous occasions, that while mom was sick, my dad turned down promotions.
Yes.
He turned down other work. He turned down everything to be with family. And also after mom passed, to make sure that all the kids were safe.
Yes.
And everything. And
your dad just sounds like a hero.
Yeah, I mean, if you believe in the concept of alpha males, that my father that's my dad. Because for me, it's not what you take in, what you receive, like money, fame, whatever's. It's what you turn away for family. And and then he met stepmom, and they're currently down in Portugal during the winter in their motorhome.
Fantastic.
And,
fantastic.
Closing in on their 80s, and I mean,
it's such a special time, and it's just like he's someone in your life who's just a rock. He's just this most incredible figure to you. And imagine if you had, I mean, you did lose your mom, and that was just a devastating thing for you. Imagine having lost both. And this lady has no one now. Just because of this man.
They were raised by a single mom, and now that mother is gone. And it's
just like that. Just like that.
Just because
that one day.
Yeah, she went to work at a maternity ward, and this complete waste of everything decided to bring a beer and a gun and kill
a hospital.
To a hospital and to the maternity ward. I mean, I kind of the first witness impact statements who wished him special friends. Yeah, he has kind of the statue for it. I mean, it's not. Yeah, even if he has been incarcerated before, this is a completely new animal. Oh, yeah, but that's...
Who was in chat who said, where is it? Oh, yeah, to be fair, he was asked, why didn't he finish school? His response was prison and work. And, you know, heard the response before. It's interesting. So he's been in the system for, since his young years. When he didn't finish school, he did prison and work. Right. He's grown up this way.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people who grew up under horrible circumstances. who decides to not go that route.
Yeah, you can't blame your situation forever. Like, it's not. Yeah, people do have bad situations. There's no question about that. But eventually, you make your choices.
Yeah.
You make your choices, and he chose to walk into that hospital with that firearm, and with under the influence of those intoxicating substances, and he chose to be extremely reckless under some sort of anger, and he chose to fire randomly at some people who had nothing to do with any situation. Not that it's all right to fire at anybody. And then he goes, "Oh, I panicked." Just panic.
Yeah, and then he
Fire
got
like
shot.
that and panic.
Yeah, and then he gets shot in the leg and starts calling for mommy.
Won't be the first time, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, that concludes this trial. Thank you, Hella, for helping out. I hope you got lots and lots of hours out of this.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
More joy, though.
Yeah. Tomorrow is and tomorrow for my part it's Jody Day. Sunday is
with David.
With Dave, and Sunday is Serial Killer Sunday. We are watching the Eileen Warner's trial. Steve Gosney will not be tomorrow because he's on vacation. And next week
keeps saying he's going on vacation.
Yeah, and next week is preparation for the Young Thug trial that will begin on the 27th. And there's a lot of information to digest, and I need a lot of viewers and stuff like that. So I will probably not take on another trial because the Young Thug Rico trial, 737 witnesses is what the state wants to call.
I don't really know how you're going to do this. Are you going to run every day for 6 months?
Some days it will be live stream, some days it will be recap. All depends on work and stuff like that. And some days I might just be exhausted, then I will only do a recap. But gavel to gavel in some shape or form, and we'll see how long that trial. But it's going. The judge wants it in under 6 months. I had a brief discussion with Natalie Wisco, and she says, no, we are talking about probably a full year.
Wow.
Yeah.
You could almost start a second channel for it.
Yeah, maybe, but then I won't be monetized on that channel. Maybe I should dual stream with myself to get people over there.
That's a brilliant idea.
Until I get monetized and stuff like that. I don't know.
Take too long. It'll take too long.
No, but it doesn't really matter because even with a second channel, then I would have nothing to do on this channel. So then that would go dormant.
Clone yourself.
No. So people, subscribe and to Hella, to me if you haven't, and all of that things. I will be directing you over to Jeff on his F8 Friday because I will rejoin there, have another beer, but I have a trip tomorrow, so I can't really actually drink. Yeah, it's my every 4 weeks or every 4 weekends. I'm going to workplaces that doesn't have a union club, and do stuff.
Well, say hello to Mr. Jeff for me.
I will.
He's an hour. I think he's like 2 hours behind me now because of some daylight saving garbage. He's usually 1 hour behind me. So it is just like past dawn here. So it's very early for him. I don't know how he manages to get the alcohols down so early in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway.
Yeah,
Thank
that's all
you
right.
so much, everybody, for being here with us
Yeah,
for this trial.
and-
It's been, apart from that last bit, which was very
Mm.
hard,
Mm.
it's been, for the most part, educational and not, well, I mean, it's been a horrible subject matter, but it's been enjoyable
Yeah.
to watch it with everybody.
Yeah. Thank you to all of you for allowing us to guide you through this trial. Now everybody go over to Hella, subscribe, give her hours and everything. Yeah, you know the drift. You know the grift.
I'm having a hella watchathon.
Yay! All right. See you all tomorrow, Sunday, next week, whatever's. Have a nice evening if you, and yeah, you know what I mean. Bye-bye.
Morning, lunch.
Morning.
See ya.